opinions expressed by the members of our panel do not necessarily reflect those of this station, its owners, or management. From the John DeVita Recording Studio, it's once again time for our monthly roundtable program, Meet the Chicago Historians. Today we present our May edition, recorded for posterity on the 19th day of May, in the year of our Lord 2014. Now here he is, everybody's favorite electronics troubleshooter and jack of all trades, John DeVita.
Well, thank you very much, Rich. From the John DeVita Broadcast Center, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Meet the Chicago Historians on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Monday, May 19th, the year 2014. Today, the panel will talk about a continuation of our old neighborhoods, how they mold us into what we became, and of course, much more. So sit back and enjoy Meet the Chicago Historians. And now to start today's broadcast, here's our announcer, Rich Lang.
Now here's our panel moderator, Jack Red Ryan.
Well, hello. Welcome back. Thanks for listening. On this beautiful May day, at least it's beautiful so far, although the clouds did seem to be gathering. Does that surprise anybody?
No?
Not this time. Anybody remember a May like this before? Or?
Never.
I remember in 1969 it was very chilly and damp and cold and foggy. It was when I went, in May of 69, I went downtown on foot, so.
Oh, you were always foggy,
Well, true, but this time particularly. And you would remember that if you go from driving around in a car all day, sitting on your dexterior or your brains or whatever it is. Dexterior? No, that's...
Exterior.
Whatever it is. What's it, Derriere? Derriere. And having to be on foot and all day outside.
You had a Derriere? I didn't know that. Oh, they gave it to you at the academy, huh?
My uncle, he worked over the dairy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's out in Darien.
My grandpa DeVita always used to tell us never to plant your garden till after May 15th. Because he says that's when the frost and everything's out of the ground. Well, just so happened, May the 16th, Crystal Lake was covered with snow.
Right.
Now, Tom McKenna, my L.I., my good friend, we remember Mrs. Corbett we had in fourth grade, and she grew up farmers, and they said, the almanac said the 26th of May. There was never a frost after that around here. Not yet. Maybe that doesn't count for the Ice Age, though, I don't think. Right? So I don't know when they planted their stuff in the Ice Age.
Well, you can always be in San Francisco. They have had rain in I don't know how long, and one town there has a water restriction of 250 gallons per family per day.
That sounds like a lot, but it's not, is it?
Sounds like a lot,
That's not drinking, that's everything, right?
Family of 4.
Wow.
Yeah. I know what they could plant in the Ice Age. Iceberg lettuce.
Oh.
Yo.
Anyway, bird's eye or something. Then they invented the frozen stuff. Okay, Musketeer roll call. To my left, Chief.
Well, I'm Kate's dad, Bill Kugelman from the Chicago Fire Department, 46 years, and I would like to have Rich Lang in his introduction to our commentator here, Mr. Ryan, that it should be John Henna Ryan. It just it would be a little more convenient to have that. So and to my left is Ken Little.
Hey, Ken.
Little. Hi, everyone, and glad to be here. And
we're glad you're here too.
Yeah, I am too. Glad to be anywhere.
Now you two are charter members of this group. Are you the only charter members left now? I think so. I ask this question every month. But, except from John. John DeVita.
Was John here? Was he here
John
at the
DeVita.
beginning?
John, I think he was in the beginning.
Anyway, I put 35 years on the fire department and 21 years teaching at Wright College. So,
yeah.
And I've got a couple of my students here. that I flunked.
Did you have just that history course, or
Yeah, I had the Chicago history course.
for how long was that? You said
21 years, yeah.
Have you given that up now, or?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I finally had to. So.
And the co-author of four
Four
books on the Chicago Fire Department, which are bestsellers.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can find one.
If it's yeah. No,
Oh, we'll find them.
yeah.
Go on Amazon.com.
Yeah,
They search everywhere.
Contact me. We'll get you there.
Yeah.
Well, the other one is they got them at the Chicago Library downtown.
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it only took us 3 years to get paid. Oh, I won't mention that. And to my left is
Your announcer, Rich Lang. I've done a little college teaching of modern American and European history, but more and more, thanks to people like Ken Little here, I've gotten a greater appreciation of local Chicago neighborhood history.
We're loaded
We'll be
with
talking about today.
Now Bismarck, the Iron Chancellor,
That's right.
was he a?
A little change of subject, but that's
Yeah.
all right.
Was he a custard Bismarck or a jelly one?
Yo! Good
He
question.
was the airship.
Who was it? He said he was going to put some guy in his back pocket, and the guy said, "You'll have more brains in your back pocket than you'll in your head to him," or something like that.
I missed that quote.
Yeah, this was Bismarck.
Probably said it in German. Maybe that's
Fun
why.
Bismarck. Yeah, he probably said it in Japanese or
Fun Bismarck.
Sanskrit or something.
the one thing Bismarck said when he was chancellor. He said they were talking about who Chicago, and he said, "I have to go there. I just have to go there." So I guess.
Why?
That's worth
I
noting.
guess it was maybe during the Columbian Exposition or around that time, but yeah,
Years later.
around that time because he.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that they were talking about in Europe was Chicago and the fair. Yeah,
They're still talking about
they're still
St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
yeah.
Al
Al Capone.
the Labor Day Massacre.
Yeah,
Day, yeah.
yeah.
All these massacres.
Yeah.
Next up,
Tom McKenna, retired Chicago Police for 34 years, and the only one on the panel that admits that he's a friend of our commentator, John Ryan.
I'm glad someone does.
Yeah, right, yeah.
After a couple of those jokes, John,
Those were
you're
jokes.
losing friends. Knock it off.
I keep my daytime job if I have one.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jeanette Frontier. Originally had a radio show on WJJG. What was it about? It was a good old talk show, call-in and so on. And you're going to enjoy our panel. They're very intellectual and very comedic.
Ooh. Oh, I'm Al Opitz.
Not only that, we're funny.
Yeah.
Is that a word you can use on radio?
Yeah.
Very good.
Funny?
Pass the censors.
Moronic would be a better word for it.
Yes, sir.
I'm excuse me.
Chemical doctor.
Al Opitz. I'm a former student of Ken Little and retired from the city of Chicago
As a what?
as a.
As a retiree.
I used to work for the water department, and I'm the one who kept the water going on the south side.
Yo.
Oh, come on. You're a chemical engineer, aren't you?
Chemical engineer.
What railroad?
Oh,
John, I think I warned you about that.
Anyway, I'll tell you something, folks. Our panel, these people are so modest about their own selves. Everybody but me. I've got plenty to be modest about, of course, but
yeah, you don't do anything.
so here we go. Well, as usual, we're going to start off with a little of recent history, also known as current events. And where do we start? At the bottom of the top. International, we got China now. China has been, are you surprised, espionage?
Nah.
They're stealing industrial things?
Oh, no.
Are
They've been
you
doing
shocked or what?
Yeah,
They've
I'm
been doing
shocked.
that for I don't know how many years.
Well, don't we do it too?
Probably.
We didn't get
We don't
caught.
need to.
Yeah.
We're Americans.
I think we have been caught a few times. with
You
this
too?
NSA, yeah.
My cliche on China is years ago we used to ship pollution to China. Now we import it from China.
Well, if they ever call in their markers, why we're proverbially screwed.
Up the creek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame. I hear I have some friends of mine that, in fact, Chicago coppers, retired, that brag about their trips to China, and I just look, and they know that what I think about it. They're going to a communist country, and
Yeah.
how can you just give them more
Well,
more money?
Well, how many,
with the money that the United States and other countries sent them over the years for manufacturing, now their middle class is growing, and consequently the exports are going down because the expense of coming wherever they're shipping to is getting higher and higher, and the jobs are coming back to the United States. The other catch on that, of course, it takes 6 months lead time if you're going to buy anything in China to manufacture, if you're lucky. So consequently, if you're going to buy something for Christmas, you better have it on order right now.
Mm. I got an email the other day about, and I don't remember who it was from or where they got it, but some people went in stores now and they're shopping and looking at the article that they want from China, and they won't buy it, so they look for something the same type of merchandise made in the USA, good old USA, and it's cheaper.
Yep.
So times are changing.
Did you see the photograph of our First Lady and her trip to China?
Yeah.
Standing on the podium, waving the red flags of revolution.
Isn't that great?
Someone said, has anyone ever seen her wave an American flag?
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of shocking.
Yeah.
Well, ask how much it costs to go to China. You know, how much it costs the United States for her to go to China.
How much it costs us to have her go to China.
That's it.
That's several $1 million.
That took more than a couple of tickets.
Well, evidently she didn't live through World War II. That's for sure.
That's for sure.
She wouldn't
be
she wouldn't be waving that flag. But my original roots are northern Minnesota, and our town is not only tourism for fishing, but iron ore is our job. I mean, generation after generation. And with them so-called producing steel cheaper than we do, our whole town is out of work, as they put it. And many towns from Duluth east. And so I watched things like that happening that never should have happened. But then you have the other problem. They do a lot of investing here. And you know, it's that contradiction of if somebody doesn't invest, it might not be good for us either. But I don't like the strategy of it.
Under the Carter,
General Motors is notorious for that too.
That's right.
But the other aspect of that is the fact that they're buying companies in the United States, which are somewhat strategic to the welfare of the United States.
And our secrecies and everything.
Yeah. Speaking of that, with the Carter administration, big deal was we don't need we shouldn't have this Panama Canal, which we built, and we leased the land, by the way, legally and all, from Panama. There used to be something called the Panama Canal Zone. They call them Zonians. They had like dual citizenship. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
If you saw competing like Golden Gloves from Panama Canal Zone, you know, whatever. But anyway, so who has the Panama Canal now? Some Chinese company.
Yeah.
Panama Canal now.
Yeah.
Connecting east and west.
There's a book called A Year Without Made in China. I heard an interview with a woman. She wrote the book. She said she was researching things and finding out where certain products were made, and she decided to see if she could go a year without buying anything made in China. And it's pretty interesting. I remember two of the things that she said you cannot get are birthday candles or coffee makers. Athletic shoes are another, but I guess you can. There are some obscure companies that make them, but it's amazing the amount of stuff that you cannot buy that isn't made in China.
Now, Tom, Taiwan doesn't count, does it? I mean, seriously.
No, I don't think so.
No, I mean...
it not right now. That's
Chinese Taipei.
Once in a while you see something made in Taiwan.
Yeah. Right. Contradiction to that, try to buy USA made. It's the same difference. I mean, where has it all gone?
Hallmark cards are made in China.
There you are. See, and
they're also, but they're printed in the United States too, because my son worked at Deluxe check printers on the suburbs.
In Kansas, right? Hallmark's in Kansas.
Well, I don't know, but anyway, what's happened in that industry, like others, people are not using checks anymore. You know, they're doing it electronically, so they had to expand.
Everything is affected.
Yeah.
There's still a requirement for checks, but you're right. General, 90% of the checks are electronic now.
Yeah.
Direct
Was it
deposit.
yeah, direct deposit.
And I'm one. I bet you I don't write 20 checks a year.
That's because you never pay your bills. But I
That's
believe
right.
it goes
That's
into
right.
it.
That's why the IRS.
All right.
That guy's name is IRS.
Hers, yes. What is it? Our tax lady has. What is it? How does it go? Oh, well, I'll think of it later.
She has
Remind
your
me.
number.
She sure does. Okay, Rich, you have any comments on China?
Not really. I think it's been pretty well covered.
Right.
Now, however, you go in the clothing stores now, you see more and more made in India
Really?
and Africa, actually, to some degree. And
Vietnam.
Vietnam.
A lot of clothes made in Vietnam.
Also
Indonesia?
South
Is it
America.
Indonesia also?
South America, too.
You know, I got to say one thing, though. Do you remember years ago when they were saying the Japanese were buying up LaSalle Street? You know, oh, they own this, they own that. Big insurance companies were run from the Netherlands and all that. That all ended. You know,
Yeah.
Japan's been in a funk for a long time.
Yeah, their economy is sort of stagnant.
It's been
Yeah.
that for years.
I like
Joe.
to.
They,
I have a
serious
favorite Chinese restaurant that I go in for takeout, and he did have like a cover or a curtain separating the front from the back from the cooking and that. But once in a while, go real nice guy, and that curtain was down for a while, I guess for cleaning. And you look back there, and they are all Spanish cooking.
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't an iron curtain, was it?
Yeah.
What in general, the Chinese have the Hong Kong Chinese, when they left, when Red China took over, you go to Vancouver, they have a colony up there. Besides Chinatown and Vancouver itself, there's a colony of Hong Kong Chinese up there because they had British citizenship.
Oh, yeah.
So they came here with no problem whatsoever.
Well, south of Chinatown, they were buying up property years before. They knew this was coming.
Yeah.
Remember, Tom? It was like going south further,
And they've gone both south and west. By the way, did you ever hear of the little town of Ferguson, North Carolina?
Not really.
Oh, it's so small that the local Chinese restaurant's run by a Polish family.
By the way,
to that.
does everyone like Chinese food? Or
I do.
Oh, yes,
Yeah, I
very
do.
much.
how about Japanese food?
No.
Do we know
I
them?
never had much yen for that myself.
I haven't tried it, to tell you the
John?
truth.
John, one more and you're out of here.
It's not a comedy show.
The guy who worked at Central actually said that. No, I never had yen for that. Hey, that's pretty good. What?
Well,
Yen, yen.
I remember going to Julia's on Western when I was working, and one of the guys I was with, he ordered, I don't know how chop suey wound up on the menu. It was a Polish restaurant.
They didn't wipe it
So
off.
I said, when he's eating it, I said, hey, Tom, how's the chop suey? He says, it's pretty good. I said, yeah, there's nothing like Chinese food in a Polish restaurant made by a Mexican cook.
That's America. That's America for you.
Yeah.
Well,
We're the melting pot.
the funny story is chop suey is not Chinese anyway.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
It's American food, but
Yeah.
And I hear
most Chinese restaurants cater to the American taste, so consequently they do not really reflect everything that's in China.
No.
You know, there's a difference in
Well,
menu.
that's reasonable.
Yeah.
they have to.
People aren't dumb.
They have to remove all the beaks and claws and everything off the.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we're talking about the different countries, and we don't know their language. They don't know. We hardly know our own English. But the point is, my daughter was at something that would be considered a spa, but it was just an off-the-street nail and foot place and so on. And when it was over, in getting her bill, she said, "My God, have they raised the prices?" You know. So the lady that owns the place finally took care of her at the to cash her check and whatever she was writing, and she knew it was the owner and talks English, broken English, and she said, "What is on my bill?" And then she called the girl over who talked only Vietnamese. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
And they talked among each other. Now my daughter there was nothing English about it. Then my daughter said to the owner, tell me what she told you, what I had done. And it was about 4 different things that she never had done.
Yeah.
So think of that.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
You
sure.
know, say
yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
So
I
there's
mean-
another way of looking at
On
things.
the other hand, we used to buy Chinese from a place. They're still in business on Irving Park. They didn't raise their price for over 30 years. You know.
Oh, Chinese
Yes.
food is
See?
relatively cheap food too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
You know,
But it's
the labor-
delicious.
But it's the idea.
It's delicious. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, there was something called the Chinese Exclusion Act when they brought many
Oh yeah, that was,
laborers over here to build a railroad. And when they stayed here, they weren't supposed to be taking any of the real Americans' jobs. So
Yeah.
they got into laundry, they got into those restaurants.
Yeah.
They turned hearts of the celery hearts or something, or lettuce hearts, chop them up, put in with stews and things like that. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it would be. I don't know if anybody's written a book about detailing the Chinese migration into Chicago. You know, and
the problem too comes
and-
to the same thing. A lot of
and-
Japanese were presumed to be Chinese too, and they sort of got to
yeah. How would you know? You know,
Yeah.
well, except by the language, but
yeah.
but
The
if you didn't
name,
do
the name's quite a bit different, but still.
Yeah.
You know, and then the Second World War. Again, the reverse of that. The Chinese were
They
looked
were-
like
they-
Japanese, so they were also excluded
Well,
because of that.
well, they were our allies, and yet you know when I think of that, I think of Tokyo Rose. You know,
Yeah,
who was.
well,
Chicagoan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she came back to Chicago. I don't know if she was from Chicago originally, but
she got a
Yeah,
city
she-
job, didn't she?
yeah, she was
no, I
down.
don't think so.
She
Just
was
died
down
here
on
a
Belmont
few
Avenue
years
ago.
at that store she had for a long time. I think she finally died.
She did die, yeah.
On
and it's
Clark
in the
Street,
store,
yeah.
it's actually on Belmont, just west of Clark, and it's still there as far as I know.
Was she Japanese ancestry, or was she something
Yeah,
else?
she was. Yeah, and she happened to be in Japan when war broke out, and she couldn't leave because of the war, and so she started to broadcast for the Japanese.
Collaborate.
Yeah, but she was the only one who was an American citizen, and that's why they prosecuted her, and she went to jail for a number of years, and then she came back after the war. After she did her time, she came back to Chicago and worked in the store.
And we covered.
I know that a lot of GIs used to use her for entertainment.
Oh yeah,
Sure, good music.
They knew it was propaganda, so they used
Oh,
to listen
yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
And the other one we
Tokyo
used to
Rose,
listen
huh?
to,
yeah.
we were overseas, was Moscow Molly.
Moscow.
Moscow Molly.
Does anyone
Lord.
remember Andre Farouche was the
Yes.
announcer for your hit parade, among other things?
No,
Right.
I don't remember
I
the
don't.
name.
Remember the voice? Remember?
Baruch.
Andre
Yeah.
Baruch.
Farouche, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he said he was interviewed. It was on Tom Snyder's show. This is how long ago it is. And he said during World War II, in the field there would be German propaganda. They'd be, you're away from home and so and so.
Yeah.
And what he would do is on the same wavelength, but wouldn't go all the way back. He in between he'd say, oh, we know that you are lonely and tired, and you want to, and so and so. And he'd say, yeah, I married myself, or something like that in between, just to turn their
He would-
propaganda
yeah.
into humor.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's the American way, isn't it?
That's the American way. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, we through with China?
Yeah, I hope so.
I
I'd
hope
give
so.
one more story, but I'm already over my limit.
Oh.
Okay, do you have something for us, Jeanette?
Well, before we get into neighborhood, yes. Jack and I talk about, what's coming up and so on. And I said, it's also Memorial Day coming up. So I do have just a older, smaller piece on the poppies. What does the poppy flower have to do with Memorial Day? I'll read a poem. In Flanders fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders field. Actually, it's Flanders field.
Flanders.
Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders field. This poem in Flanders Field was written by World War I Colonel John McCrae. He was a surgeon with Canada's 1st Brigade Artillery. It expressed McCrae's grief over the row on row of white crosses marking the graves of soldiers who had died among the bright red flowers on Flanders battlefields, located in a region of western Belgium and northern France. McCrae's poem had a huge impact on two women, one being Anna Guerin of France and Moina Michael of Georgia. Both worked hard to initiate the sale of artificial poppies to help orphans and others left destitute by the war. By 1920, Guerin, with the help of the American Legion, established the first poppy sale in the United States. The poppy was adopted as the official memorial flower of the VFW in August 1992. The first poppy factory was built in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in 1924 and used unemployed and disabled veterans to produce the artificial flowers. Each year, the VFW distributes roughly 14 million poppies worldwide. The VFW registered the name Buddy Poppy with the U.S. Patent Office. The term was coined as a tribute to the comrades who did not come home from the war or who were scarred or crippled for life. The VFW celebrated the 75th anniversary of the Buddy Poppy as its official flower in 1997. Profits from the sales have helped countless veterans, their widows, widowers, and orphans over the years. As of 2014, it is 92 years old. And I think it's something that should be remembered and has a lot of meaning.
The fire department,
Yes.
Legion Post, they still sell poppies, on the street.
What I find interesting is I've ever since I can remember, on Memorial Day I wore a poppy. My father did, all our family did. In the last probably 7 or 8 years, I've had more people ask me what that is than in previous years.
Yeah.
The younger generation
Yeah,
doesn't
they
know.
don't know.
They
don't know.
No.
They don't have the slightest idea
No.
what
No.
it is.
Well, it's
and
never.
I'm sure a lot of people see it and don't even care enough to ask what it is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're losing that little tradition.
Well,
Tradition is
Yeah.
going
If you go
in
to
many
Rose
ways.
Hill Cemetery on Memorial Day, they always have a
Taps and a salute.
well,
Yeah.
it's more than that. It's quite a very touching thing.
Yeah.
My uncle, the guy I was named for, was killed in action about 11 hours before the
Armistice?
end of the war.
Oh.
Before the armistice, they didn't know yet, and they go over and they decorate each one of those graves. And,
The
it's
11th
like-
hour-
and like Kenny said, we have our mass Monday, the 26th,
Yeah.
and it's quite a
It's a moving
celebration.
ceremony, yeah.
Where is
Yeah.
that, Bill?
At Holy Family
That's what I
Church.
thought, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I wanna do
9:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll try to make it there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite a very moving, and then they have everybody in the
Yeah.
basement. and that.
Can you imagine, though, like getting killed just before the end like that?
Yeah.
The 11th hour, the 11th day, the 11th month of the war to end all wars?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what's just for a second? What's inspiring is after the mass, there's a parade. Just people coming out, and then they have an honor guard, and they
Oh, that's
Tap.
and they fire.
Has everyone seen the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Ooh,
Yeah.
No.
talk about chills.
Yeah.
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 I
At
saw.
Arlington.
I saw I have a couple of people buried there, a couple of relations buried there, and I've seen a funeral with the cortege, with the horses and bringing it, and that's
Yeah.
boy, those kids really do a job.
Mm.
They
Yeah.
just do.
Well, I play with the Chicago Police Bagpipe Band, and at least once a month or once every other month we play for the honor flights that land at Midway. For those of you that aren't familiar with it, when they opened the World War II memorial in Washington D.C., they discovered that we're going to take a break.
No, go ahead.
They discovered that World War II veterans were dying at 1,000 a day, and so to make sure that these guys saw their own memorial, they started a fund called an honor flight, and they fly them out to Washington D.C. to see the memorial, and then when they come back at night, we play for them and have a ceremony. And I'm going to tell you, if you have an ounce of patriotic blood in your veins, and you don't
got tears.
You don't shed a tear when you see
That's
these
right.
guys. The vast majority of them are in wheelchairs, and they have military, usually guys from Great Lakes, to come to help them and to push the wheelchairs. And these guys are trying to push themselves up out of the wheelchairs to stand at attention to return the salute. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. You know what?
Now for a brief intermission.
Hold that thought.
You're listening to Meet the Chicago Historians.
I keep telling you, move forward. We all know.
And Tom, wasn't that cut up?
Friends, now that the warm weather has finally arrived, it's time to plant your flower garden and your vegetable garden. It's not too late to start planting your flowers and vegetable gardens. And I have just the right place for you to go and get your flowers and vegetable plants. You can go to Pesky's Flower Gift Shop, Garden Center, and Greenhouse at 170 South River Road in Des Plaines, Illinois. Pesky's has a very large selection of flowers, vegetable plants, and much more. Whatever you need for your flower or your vegetable garden, you can find it at Pesky's. Once again, they are located at 170 South River Road. They are north of Route 14 or Minor Street, and south of Gulf Road, which is Route 58, and the Holy Family Medical Center on the west side of the River Road. And be sure to stop in and visit their flower and gift shop. Again, Pesky's Flower, Gift Shop, and Garden Center, located at 170 South River Road in Des Plaines, Illinois. River Road is Route 45. They are north of Route 14 or Minor Street and south of Gulf Road, which is Route 58. You can call Pesky's at area code 847-299-1300 for more information. Again, Pesky's Flower, Gift, and Garden Center at 170 South River Road in Des Plaines, Illinois. Their phone number is area code 847-299-1300 for more information.
Now back to our special edition of Meet the Chicago Historians program. Jack?
Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming back. So far we're being fairly energetic, I believe, in our discussion. We're going to get back to Mr. McKenna shortly, but about a report he has. We sent him on a field trip, and can you tell us about that, Tom?
What field did you go to?
Potters?
Midway Field.
I went with the, as I said a few minutes ago, I play with the pipes and drums of the Chicago Police Department. About, I guess it's 10 years ago now, we were in the FOP Hall, which sponsors the National Police Memorial in Washington, D.C., and we saw a bagpiper wearing a Washington, D.C. Metro uniform. So, talking to him, I said, I didn't know that Washington, D.C. had a pipe band. And he said, well, we don't. I'm trying to form one. And I said, well, I'll tell you what. I said, Dennis, my brother Dennis was with me. Dennis is a bass drummer, I'm a snare drummer. I said, if you get enough pipers together, next year we'll come out and we can at least get you down the street, whatever you've got. So that's what we did. And so the following year they had enough pipers, so we played with them for a couple years, and then the pipe and drum, the Chicago Police, had enough guys to go out to play in our own band. But the National Police Memorial in Washington, D.C., it's getting bigger and bigger every year, and now they have between 20 and 30,000 police officers from around the country that attend, and it ends in a ceremony on the Capitol steps. But the one thing about the police memorial in Washington, D.C., because there's about approximately 150 police officers that are killed in the line of duty every year, and their names go on the wall. And one guy brought up an interesting point. Actually, he was a member of the military, and he said, the World War II memorial and World War I memorial and the Vietnam memorial and the Korean memorial, there's no more names going on those walls. He said, but your memorial, unfortunately, will never be finished.
Never be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awful thought, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And the fire department has its own.
Same thing for them.
Yeah, they have their own.
Now, Tom, when you have that final day, who do they have as any kind of special guest speaker or anyone? Does the president address that?
President.
Since he's been elected, I think he's gone twice. Every other president has always attended, with the exception of some,
What was it that Holder told you one year?
Well, this year, Vice President Joe Biden gave the address. I think it was last year or the year before. Attorney General Holder gave the address, and his main point was, if someone kills a police officer in the line of duty, that they'll prosecute him. I said, well, thank you very much, Mr. Attorney General.
Right, yeah.
Well, great news.
Yeah, right.
By the way, Tom, on that same vein, we just raised the price of the reward for anybody that shoots at a Chicago copper. We raised it from 10. We doubled it to $20,000.
That's great.
And if it's a Chicago line of duty death, it'll be $50,000. So we just raised that. The stickers will be out pretty soon.
Oh,
hopefully.
Great.
Does the city give you much support in that area, Bill?
Well, I suppose you could say yes, if you were a nice guy. But we go through the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation, and that's that's where we do all that business.
Well,
and
don't you?
Who's
the director over there again?
Well, Phil Klein.
Yeah, he's much easier to deal with. Isn't he the best?
Oh, absolutely. Phil took over this. When I got the idea, and Phil just took it over, and he ran with it because he's one of us.
Oh, here's the guy's the superintendent of police. He was riding his bike, stopped, talked to you on the corner. He was in the neighborhood, so he told me first time I ever talked to him. I didn't know what was that. I didn't know what. I was in Missings. And he came over and he said, "Are you still on the corner over there or whatever?" I said, "Gee, how you know that?"
Yeah, right.
Is it in my dossier or what?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But what a regular guy, what a nice guy, and he was from a fire family, was he not?
Yes, his father was a captain of Engine 20.
Yeah.
Is where I was.
So what is he, the black sheep of the family, or what?
He went to the dark side.
Yeah. Yes. You know what was interesting? His dad's, long time, he came on the job in the 30s. Eventually made captain. It was captain when they opened the firehouse at Larrabee and Division, and I talked to him there because he was in charge.
His father?
Yeah, he's captain of Engine 4. And of course didn't know. And I think he was probably around 50 when Phil was born. There's a big, age differential. And then he was probably 60 years old, and here he was on in Cabrini Green. He was. Then he went to.
Well, 60 is much younger now than it was then. Was 60 the new 40?
Yeah, right.
So what am I, 55 or what? No.
You know what? I'm not going to sleep tonight thinking that Phil Klein was born.
Yeah.
His poor mother.
Why's that?
You know what? Can I go back onto the honors, veterans honors?
Yes.
Without distracting. This implies my family. A few Christmases ago, I'll go back about 6 years, I said to my children, you know, we all spend enough on the holidays and we have a lot of company and everything like that. I said, why don't we think of some organization that like the food pantry or whatever, and if you each want to give me $25 toward it and I'll put more in or whatever. Anyway, so this every holiday we do something like that. Not to talk about ourselves. Tom brought up the honor veterans. Well, this year we will be donating the airplane ticket for one veteran.
Yeah.
You know. The point I'm bringing out is they found such satisfaction and glee to the fact that it's not all for junk toys and silliness and that.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, you can give a $1 toward the volunteer of adding money to their pot.
Yeah.
But so I call and to find out it's about $600 and some for a flight. But it's such a marvelous thing, and they are diminishing. We don't have many left.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it is, and you know, if you've been part of it, Tom, it's really a terrific thing. But it was just ironic. This year is the year we chose to. Hopefully, we will do it. We will do it. Yeah. So just that little bit.
Can you imagine if everybody gave a few bucks? You know what I'm saying? Everybody.
And
everybody.
anything.
$2, $5, you know.
Anything. We always something, you know.
You know, when my son was murdered, I always had the 100 Club of Chicago in mind, you know, because of what we do there, and never thinking it happened out in DeKalb County, and here they got 100 Club out there, and they came in, and of course there were no kids involved, but they did as much as they could. Bingo, right away. Same as this, and it's not just here in Chicago; it's all over the country now.
Yeah,
consistent.
All over the country. Yeah.
Well,
Chicago.
Yeah.
I had a couple people I knew from honor flight. They flew and they said they get you out of bed 3 a.m. They pick you up, put you on a plane.
Bill, just listening to the news this morning, there's something about the 100 Club was on the news this morning. Somebody passed away.
Ralph
Ralph Choi,
the
director.
Well, the director, the guy, his father actually.
Yeah.
But he was the guy that started this whole thing. You know.
Yeah.
Now, did you say that the 100 Club is worldwide or statewide?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know about world, but I know it's
I mean the United States.
countrywide.
Yeah. Major city. In fact, they got the idea from Detroit. Detroit evidently had one, and there are other organizations. They're not really connected, I don't think, but they do the same thing.
Yeah.
Either
Now, is there
a city
any
or
other
a county.
Is there any other organization other than the 100 Club that helps firefighter families?
Yeah, there is. There is. I don't right now remember the name of them, but fire and police. You know.
I know there's an.
But anyways, going back to the honor flight, they get you out of bed 3 a.m. They fly you to Washington D.C., treat you royally. When you come back, they come in and they have letters. Everyone has roll call, and they give them all these letters, and then some of them, like 50 or 60 letters a piece, and they give them to the recipients, and they come in here and they have the royal, shower and everything else. Come off the plane. A lot of these, like you said, in wheelchairs.
Yeah.
And they I think about midnight, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's a long, long day for a guy that's 90 years old.
Exhausting.
Yeah.
It's really exhausting, but they said they would never miss it again.
Right.
We did that shower you were talking about is so that everybody knows that's where the fire department goes out and just tosses water up in the air over the plane and so forth, and that's an honor that was not originally for something like that. It was actually planned for the captain, the pilot of that plane, his last flight. When he came in to land, that's what the fire department would do on orders from the whatever airport security it was and that. And it just took off, and we do it for a lot of different people
touching.
now.
That's
yeah,
very good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's meaningful.
Yeah.
I did it for the Knights of Columbus. The Grand Knight, the Grand Poobah, came into Chicago to honor us, St. Florian and St. Michael, the police, and he came in with his whole, bunch and that, and I set it up that they would give a salute out there.
Now, St. Florian and St. Michael, what are they?
They're the KC, the fire and the police.
Okay. Is
And,
Florian the patron of fire?
Fire, right.
Firemen, firefighters?
Right,
I know St. Michael, he does a lot of things, including police.
yeah.
Which
No,
St.
he's the
Michael
police.
is that? St.
But
Michael?
he
Archangel.
came in, and I talked to
Archangel.
the captain after this was through, the pilot, and he says, "My God," he says, "I thought they were trying to tell me something that I this
Yeah.
is my last flight."
Yeah.
Well, the other
Yeah.
one, the other one was in the Air Force when they went through a contaminated cloud. They used to come in and wash the plane down too.
Oh.
So that was to clean the plane off.
Yeah. There's got to be a thrill to have, for example, a fireboat give you a water display, or and
Oh,
occasionally they
They have the-
do that.
And what is the St. Jude? That's another.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
League,
that's something
That's
with
the
hopeless
police.
cases,
That's a
or
police.
yeah,
All right.
That's a
Yeah.
police.
Uh-huh.
Jude League.
Police
League.
league.
Oh,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The fire boats, they're a little more lenient on that because they got the water supply right there, and they
Oh,
just
yeah.
suck it up
Oh,
and they
sure.
flow
Well,
it through.
People
Yeah.
can see that. A lot of people
Yeah.
don't see this
Yeah.
at the airport.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they a lot of times you'll see it going through, especially in the Atlantic Ocean and stuff like that, where they for some celebration or other, come and do that.
Mm.
They
Yeah,
have the
still.
facility.
Yeah, they,
Yeah.
There's
they have
no need
well, they
to
gotta
look
be
for
out there
water.
anyway,
Right,
so
right.
it's just
Yeah.
a matter of pumping water through. And
Sure.
they gotta keep the pumps going periodically anyway.
Has everyone, I would imagine they have, had occasion to talk to World War II vets much, or?
I belong to an organization that had
Tell you a story.
No, did you notice they don't talk about it?
No,
don't.
they don't.
You're
What
right.
what
No,
themselves
they
did.
don't.
No,
the
they
ones,
don't.
The ones that were actually in action don't talk.
That's what I mean. Those
Yeah.
guys, yeah.
Yeah. The desk jockeys,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
they probably talk.
Oh,
about
the ones
Yeah.
that talk
Their
about are people like
experiences.
Yeah.
what was his name? Ex-vice president. He
Al Gore.
Al Gore. He was in Vietnam and he protested
Yeah.
Vietnam. He
Yeah.
actually put himself in for Purple Heart.
They said he was a RIMF,
Kerry.
Yeah, he
rear echelon.
yeah he got. I think he got wounded legally once, and the rest of the time he hurt himself, I guess, and got himself a Purple Heart for an ouchie.
Well, he
But,
threw his medals over the.
Was it Gore? Gore did that?
No, that was. That was.
The
It was
Kerry did.
Horseface.
Kerry.
Yeah.
Kerry threw his medals over.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tom, do you remember Tom Ryan from police department? He was a sergeant in traffic, then a lieutenant in 18 and in traffic.
Yeah, he was one of the.
He never said anything about it. He was portrayed in The Longest Day by Fabian.
When the commandos and the
Yeah. They had to scale that-
D-Day,
Yeah.
they
that
scaled
cliff.
the walls,
And
and he
there
never
was-
said. Nobody
No.
ever knew it.
No.
Never said a word about it.
Joe
I had-
Quinn
I had
told me
a
about
guy-
that.
I had a
Joe
guy
Quinn.
that worked for me on truck 22, and you'll know who it was, Ken.
Yeah.
And never said a word about anything. Never said a word. The little German was one of the best firemen that ever had, but he never talked about that until he died. And his son came out, and they took all the medals and the stuff out of where he had hit him
Yeah.
and put them out, and here are the medals, and the guy was a hero.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, Ken?
No, I really don't.
You know,
I know a whole bunch of guys, and one guy was a radio operator, and I asked him what time what these medals were for. And he said, I don't know. I came back and they gave them to me. So that's the modesty of these people, you know. I don't know where they came from.
You didn't know what you did, huh?
And I attended his funeral. And he had a military funeral. And I took photographs. His wife said, "Yeah, I took photographs." And you know, they had a bugler there, which is unusual because you don't see very many buglers at any military funerals anymore. Because first of all, they don't know how to play.
Yeah.
Oh no, you do now.
Oh yeah.
They have bugles that are all electronic.
Yeah, I
You
know.
don't have to know how to play.
This was a real one.
And I had the guy at where was it? Oh, when we dedicated the guys from the patrol to our fire department memorial.
This
and
was
here the guy that we had all the time was Gray.
Yeah, right.
And he's over there, and what the hell is that? He's got the thing down by his chin.
Yeah, it's like a
Somewhere
toy.
in that.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I've ever seen
Yes.
that. And the guy says, "Oh yeah, it's an
I don't-
electronic thing."
yeah.
No, this
They
was
don't
a,
even have to do it.
this was a real
it's
one. This was a
Yeah.
it's
a
perfect.
brass brass bugle, and I they're few and far between. I see another guy carrying one time, and I said, "You really got a bugle?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "One of the few that know how to play a bugle."
Can I tell you a quick story? And I was an MP when I was in the service, and we had a sergeant who wasn't too well educated, and I never particularly cared for him. He wasn't, he just wasn't up to snuff. I could say typical policeman.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's given a lecture on what to do at funerals, etc., and used the word bugler. And the bugler comes in and does this, and the bugler does this. I said, "What's a bugler?" It's bugler. But he pronounced it bugler.
It's kind of like the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
The president was calling him the corpsman.
like
and
the president.
Yeah.
corpsman.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was Rudy Steigerwald.
Oh, was Rudy?
Yeah, it was Rudy.
I
that
got a
I was
picture.
talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
Well, the other one
He was a
he
was a tough guy.
little guy.
the king can do no wrong, as the old saying goes. You know. But anyways, the funny story goes with that. You know, the SR-71, this spy plane. You know, one of the unbelievable planes that the United States produced. It was originally RS-71, but Johnson mispronounced it, pronounced it
Johnson?
SR-71.
Yeah.
So it was supposed to, he had reversed the letters on it, so consequently it became whoops, you know, and it like the old saying goes, the king can do no wrong.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And you know, there's a
Who
lot
said
of
that?
traditions that go with it. But the other one was like the seventh Indian stretch with Taft. You know, this.
Oh, yeah, when he threw the ball out or something?
No, he was at a ball game, and about the seventh inning, he got up, and everybody thought he was going to leave, so everybody got up. And he stretched, he sat back down again, so everybody else sat back down again.
Was that out of seventh inning stretch?
That
How it
very
started.
He was the first to throw a baseball.
Same day. He threw the baseball out and he seventh inning stretch, too.
Yeah,
Very
right.
same day.
Yeah.
Must have been Washington, do you think?
But he was the biggest president the United States ever had.
Largest.
Okay,
Yeah, there you go,
largest.
Large.
Largest.
Yeah.
You were saying veterans don't talk. I'm interrupting all of you.
No, they don't.
You're right. You are right on that. But I had a little different story in the same vein. When I was about 8, 9, 10 years old, the teacher, the nun, gave us addresses of various people in the service. And what happened, I had several relatives myself, and so I liked writing letters. So I got the letter, I got the address of a fella that was in the hospital, and his name was Nick, and I thought, I think I'll write to him.
Yeah.
And I did, and I wrote to him for about 5 years, believe it or not, at least once a month. Now, I'm a kid,
Yeah,
so
sure.
I'm telling him I got 100 in spelling, and he must have been thrilled to death.
Yeah.
Well, what I didn't know is he started giving me more information about what happened to him, not how it happened, but he did lose a leg, God bless.
Ooh.
And he was, hospitalized a few years and so on and so forth. Now, it's time for him to be discharged, to find out he lived in Cicero, Illinois,
Oh.
as the resident there. And anyway, we met up. You know, my mom and dad. My father wasn't there at the time. My mom invited him to come to the home, and he said, "Oh, I really want to meet this little girl who wrote to me." He said it kept me going, and so here's what he said. He said he never got any letters,
Oh,
and that I was the one that wrote to him,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we became all family friends, and we had all kind of occasions together.
yeah.
And he showed up at my wedding, and
Oh.
you know, and that started from
Yeah,
8,
sure.
9 years old.
So,
I know I was
yeah.
in 3rd or 4th grade.
Yeah.
And but
Yeah.
just to hear those words, and
Yeah.
I mean, he really, the
Yeah.
emotion of it, and
Yeah.
so on.
Yeah.
But he never said how that happened, or
No, they never.
never.
No.
But he, you know, can you imagine a friendship like that?
Yeah.
Do you recall his name or?
Yes,
Wanna
I
say it,
know
or-
his name, Nick.
What's it?
Nick.
Is he gone now?
Huh?
Is he no longer with us? Or
He isn't he isn't alive
yeah,
anymore.
say his name. Let's.
Yeah.
His name is Nick Niederberger.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Irish
And
kid.
Yeah. Irish kid. Yeah.
wonderful person. And
Yeah.
but the point was, that's what he said, that
Yeah.
he did not get letters, and
Yeah.
he waited for those letters.
Yeah,
you know.
sure. Yeah.
When you're
And
by
I can
yourself.
remember-
Yeah, when you're by yourself.
You know,
Right,
even
and-
even when we were in it,
Yeah.
you know, you always mail
Yeah.
call come around. Some guys just never got.
My
letters.
fiance wrote a letter every single day
Yeah,
until
my
his-
husband
Did your
was
wife know about
into-
that?
I didn't tell her. Thank you. But by the
Yeah.
way, I went to 2 wakes, and I'm sure the chief did too. Never knew anything about the guy. You know, both had won the Silver Star.
Yeah.
The family didn't even. Well, they probably knew about it, but they never. You know,
Mm-hmm.
what did he win it for? Well, you know, not that you would ever ask, but you know, they don't know. One of them got a battlefield commission. You know, came out an officer, and
And it's the
A lot-
same
a lot
way
of
with
these,
our
movie
people in the
stars-
fire department.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
We're
the,
in the
the
same
guy
category.
that famous picture of Dick Scheid taking the kid out of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our Lady
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
Angel. Dick
Yeah.
never talked about it.
no, he never.
He
yeah.
and he
And he-
really went out of his way to avoid
To
it.
Just
avoid
passed
it.
away a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he
did.
just did.
Dick-
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I was in that story too. You know, we
Yeah.
discussed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and Ken was there. We
Yeah.
had a,
we had a
we had
yeah,
a patrol get together at the school at St. Gabe's.
St. Gabe's, but
And-
I also met him at the 911 center, and
Well, he
Yeah, he
he was,
was-
sitting there, and you know,
He
in
was-
our thing, and the guy sitting next to me up in the dais was also a past president of the local, and somebody had brought a magazine, international magazine with Dick's picture on it, the original picture,
picture, yeah.
and Dick was sitting out there. And here Jack and I are looking through this magazine, and nothing at all to do with OLA or
Yeah.
him. And we put it down. We started the program. I started blah, 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 and we broke. And I looked out, and
There he
I
was.
asked Jack, I says, hey, where'd that Mr. Ugly go? We used to call him Mr. Ugly in the department. And he said, I don't know.
Yeah.
He left.
yeah.
And I talked to
wasn't-
him later, and he says, I thought you were going to bring up something about me in that picture.
He
And
hasn't been
so he
up-
left.
Yeah.
And that's just the kind of,
Yeah.
of guy he was.
Yeah.
What a thing.
The other guy, that was sort of funny. I knew a guy when I worked for the water department. He got excited because he was in Iwo Jima. And he said, look, I got a photograph of me in a foxhole in Iwo Jima. He said he never saw, never saw the photographer or anything else.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
We
That's all he ever said about it, but he was excited about his photograph.
well, we know there are no atheists in there. There's no atheists in foxholes. And with that,
Oops.
You're listening to Meet the Chicago Historians, and we thank you for it. We'll be right back.
Well, friends, now that the warm weather is here, and now is the time to think about your roof, siding, and gutters on your home or place of business. We could get some heavy rainstorms in the next few months. So be sure the roof, siding, and gutters are in good shape. You don't want mold or mildew in your attic or crawl space, or drip, drip, drip on the ceilings in your rooms, or have your walls damaged by a leaky gutter or bad siding. So don't have double expense. Sooner or later you're going to have to get them repaired. So call Best Brothers Roofing, Siding, and Gutters at area code 630-616-1359. Mike Best will drive over in his shiny red truck with ladders on top and Best Brothers Roofing signs on the doors. Mike will look over your siding, roof, and gutters and give you an estimate and go from there. So once again, don't have double expense. Call Best Brothers Roofing for a free estimate at 630-616-1359. That's Best Brothers Roofing, Siding, and Gutters at area code 630-616-1359. Call today for a free estimate. The number once again is area code 630-616-1359. You won't be sorry.
Now, back to our show.
Say something.
Jack?
Let's say Jack, you know. Well, our agenda originally had something about Mr. Putin and the Ukraine, but inasmuch as we've been talking about veterans, what about the recent story about veterans being turned away and fooled and left without seeing doctors and not told and not left?
Unreal. I can't believe it. I really
Believe it.
You know, I can't either, Ken, because anytime you talk to a guy, and I go out there and I got some people that I visit, they all say, "Oh yeah, we get terrific care.
Yeah.
And it, doesn't cost us anything. We get the pills, blah blah blah."
Yeah.
And this is really odd, you know.
I don't know if Chicago's involved, but I know, my brother was.
They
in
say Heinz is.
Yeah, my brother was in World War II, and one time he ran out of medicine. It was one of those deals. He brought a medicine bottle, and turned out it was half empty. He thought it was full, so I had to take him out to Jesse Brown, I guess it's called, 820 South Damon, and took him all day. But he did
Get him.
They did take care of him.
Was that one called? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's called Jesse Brown.
Wow.
Yeah.
What street is that on?
Damon.
Roby Street?
Roby Street, yeah.
As a street man.
And I also had to take him one time out to Heinz, but because when he comes in, he's usually with me for a couple of months, But he's from Upper State New York, Wappingers Falls, a little town.
Well,
And
Bobby,
he gets good service from his local.
I've never heard a bad thing about any of them.
No, I never did either. And
Excellent care.
Yeah, the
there.
guys that I walked with in the mall when I was walking at Harlem and Irving, they all. They really,
And
Well,
all Heinz doctors come out of Loyola. I mean,
The,
right?
that, oh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
The thing is,
They're-
those
they're-
that get the care, okay,
Yeah.
right? We're sure they're in good care if they get the care, correct?
Yeah.
But if they're being
These
steered
guys were
away-
really, they were, picking up medicine. They'd get a, doctor's appointment, but they weren't,
Right.
residents or anything.
There
like
may
that.
they said there may be 40 deaths
Yeah.
that occurred,
I just,
maybe more, huh?
Or postponing surgeries. I think
Right.
that's
The other catch on that is you only hear one side of the story.
There
Yeah.
you
There's
Sounds like Obamacare.
yeah.
Oh, there we go.
yeah.
Is that what we're in
But,
for?
in Europe, you got that problem because of the fact if you got surgery, you got to wait another year before you have some more surgery.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that. A friend of Tom and myself, Joe Mescal, was born in Ireland, came here in '59, went on the job in '67. His brother, just about a couple of years apart in age, around the same time, they both had heart problem. So Joe, it was either Little Company or Christ Hospital, and there he goes. 20 minutes, he's going up the elevator, going to surgery.
Wow.
His brother needed the same sort of a bypass in Ireland. So first they said, go to this hospital. It was about good 6 months or more before he got approval for his treatment. That's the socialized medicine. So
It's,
Well, that's the same thing as Canada, though. 'Cause the funny thing about Canada is if they have major surgery, they'll send them down here to the States.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Because it's cheaper to have United States do the surgery and they pay for it than it is to have their own facilities for it.
Yeah.
I remember.
I heard a lot of people from Canada complain, and in fact moved the whole family down here.
Yeah, the other catch on that is the fact that my wife knew a nurse that was graduated nursing school in Canada, and out of the class, I think it was 28, only one stayed in Canada because she was the only one who got a job. The rest of them couldn't get a job.
No
Bobby
kidding.
Huff, our ex-fire commissioner, Bobby Huff's brother Mike, who just died here a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. That's all I heard was he got good care.
Good care.
You know,
I heard that too.
and
He suffered.
he
for a
got
long
shot in the
time.
head or something,
Yeah.
and he got care for all of that time.
Yeah.
And he just
Maybe after World War II, when veterans were getting treated, the VA was well run. I mean, had an excellent reputation.
Well, they literally had to rebuild so much because it really died out almost, as we say, the veterans
my
had
thinking
aged and they
is
didn't need them.
we all know that it was a good organization.
Oh,
my
yes.
idea is that with everything else that's happening, some schmucks got in there and they refused
It
them.
became,
And
today's
Yeah,
world.
it's always the problem there. But the other thing
it's
is
the
when
way
I
it's run.
went down originally when I got discharged, some reason I went down to VA to ask them about benefits that I would get, and they said generally if you have insurance, private insurance, you have to wait until your insurance runs out.
Oh, so.
And in Europe, go back to Europe again. I was talking to my cousin. She had hip replacement, and apparently they didn't even have physical therapy or whatever it was. She had trouble with the hip anyway. She had to wait a year before she could go back to the doctor.
Yeah.
But her son said that in order to get improved medical there, you had to have a supplemental insurance. So a lot of people buy supplemental insurance so they can get better care.
So they get,
We do.
immediate
We have
care.
that here.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, basically it's the
we
same
have
thing
a
as
backup.
Medicare.
Yeah.
It's basically like Medicare.
Yeah.
If you want to keep your doctor, you keep your doctor. If you want to keep your plan, you keep your plan.
And that's
Period.
the
It makes
opposite.
sense to me.
That's what they said.
Just the opposite
They-
of
somebody-
what I ran into when I was in France, which is where Johnny was born. They treat a pregnant woman like she is a queen.
Yes.
Oh,
My God.
That happened to my brother's wife in Germany.
Its
Yeah.
own private room and flowers in it and just the best of care.
yeah.
I don't know what was happening on the other side of the wall,
Yeah.
but
They didn't care, yeah.
they were with
Yeah.
with pregnancy, with birth.
Yeah.
Those women were unbelievably taken care of, and they stayed in there for like 2 weeks.
Wow.
I doubt it. I don't know if they still do that or not, though.
Yeah, you
No,
wonder.
the
Well,
same
I don't know.
could go
That's
out the same
28
night.
years ago.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
by
right.
one
changed,
day.
haven't they?
Yeah.
Oh,
Thing-
definitely.
Things
Yeah.
change a
Yeah,
lot
they-
because the medical costs have gone up.
And they
Yeah.
they do kick you out. I mean, they kicked me out of the hospital.
They
said,
try
well,
to
you
do
should-
And
fast
if
as
you
you
want to
can.
get sick,
Yeah,
you
right.
go to a hospital.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just too much germs.
Oh, the other thing
Yeah.
is now with knee replacement, hip replacement, therapy is getting to be more and more. They want outpatient therapy,
Yeah.
and it's not easy to walk with a leg in a cast and all this other stuff. So they'll pick you up.
Yeah.
My
it's cheaper.
my doctor handed me a piece of paper when I went in for I got a problem with my ankle, and he's a bone guy, and he handed me a piece of paper that he says, "Here, send this to the president." He says, "Under this Obamacare, knee and hip replacement is not going to be covered."
Oh, my.
And
Yeah.
I said, "What are you talking about, Jim?"
Yeah. What do you, yeah.
He says, I said, that's all you hear about, people getting
Yeah,
knee
sure,
and,
yeah.
and hip
More and more.
replacement. He says, here it is.
Yeah.
And he showed me the,
Yeah.
You
You're
know,
going to pay for.
what
Well,
was
you're
in
going
there.
to have it done, but
You're
you're going to
gonna-
pay for it
yep,
yourself.
yep.
Yeah.
You know how much?
Exactly.
You know how much a knee replacement costs for me?
I have no idea.
Over $100,000.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
$100,000.
I had two of those
Yeah, I had
and
two
one
of
hip
them.
replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have any hits, but
Wow.
the knee was 100,000.
Yeah.
I haven't really. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how much it cost because with the trickle of insurance paper that comes to you, you have no idea what's going
No.
on.
You know,
I don't
one
wanna
of
know.
the- Well, I was going to say one of the things is we have a bunch of retired city of Chicago people. On the back of all of the correspondence, there is a benefits manager, and you can. In fact, right at the moment, I have sent a letter to him because I got a bill for a service that was not recorded, so I don't know whether they did it or not. You know,
That's the other
so
part
we
of
have
the
them
problem.
look at it, and but I'll tell you one thing. I went to this guy before, or if it's the same guy, and it was over an ambulance transport, and it was a private ambulance. They charged me $1,000 to go 7 miles from Our
Yeah.
Lady of Res to Res, $1,100, something like that. And Medicare said they would not cover it. So he
That's
said,
right.
write a letter to them.
Yeah.
2 months later, they paid like $330, and that was satisfactory
Right,
to
and I
this.
believe, because I had the experience with my mother, I believe too, if you can all correct me now, we got billed for having an ambulance, and then we had to pay, and I think it came from the fire department.
Yeah,
but then we
they
were
charged. Yeah.
It's around
yeah.
$1,000.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But if you have insurance, it's covered.
Well, but the point is, there is
Yeah.
some
Oh, yeah.
transaction there.
And you know what? That charging was never part of the program until the suburbs started to do it, and
That's
then
right.
Chicago jumped
That's
on the
what I'm trying to
bandwagon.
say. We had it
Yeah.
before and never
Yeah.
were charged.
And even if we went, call an ambulance now, and then there's going to be no charge for us, they still bill. They still bill the insurance company, and and they'll pick up a couple $100 for it. So anyway,
Stanley Zidlow.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
only thing I know.
yeah,
Zidlow.
he was, yeah,
He was the father of the emergency medical.
yeah, paramedics.
He
The
yeah.
was-
only thing I know the
paramedics.
reason I got my knee done was because Obamacare was coming in. I want to make sure I got covered.
I've had one of my bosses. He said, "I'm going to have my teeth done. I'm going to have this done," because he was getting ready to retire.
Breast implants.
Yeah, right. That's another thing. You leave city employment, you lose your dental, and
Lose your
I-
teeth.
you lose your teeth
Yeah.
too. Yeah, literally.
I never had dental insurance with the city.
We did.
Yeah, we had dental and vision.
And vision.
no,
both.
I didn't
and,
have
and,
either
you,
one.
and the minute you
And then
retire,
they-
you lose it.
Yeah, you lose
And
it
that's when you
really
need it. That's when
Yeah.
you need it.
Well,
Your
that's
teeth are
perfect
falling
business
out.
sense.
Yeah.
Your teeth are falling out, all that stuff. Okay.
When before someone said something about someone in Canada would go to the U.S. for surgery or whatever.
Surgery, yeah.
I remember Barbara Walters she talked so glowingly about Cuba because everyone was covered there. I kind of wonder what the coverage was. Was it, here's your bullet to bite on, here's your Band-Aid?
Yeah.
But Raul Castro went to Paris to have some heart surgery or something. He
Yeah,
didn't stick
right.
around there,
No,
remember?
he didn't. You know what? He couldn't get an appointment. They'd say, "Oh, you come back in 6 months." Yeah, it's crazy. And we've had who was it? One of the Saudis or somebody came over here for heart surgery many years ago.
sounds right.
And,
Well,
But you know what? When they want to change their sex appeal, they have to go to another country, though.
yeah,
Oh,
transgender.
Transylvania.
Transylvania.
Transylvania?
Well, the other story going back about Canada, I remember reading a story about a member of Parliament had to come down. I think it was open heart surgery or something like
Oh.
that, and supposedly was authorized by the country of Canada. Came down and Canada refused to pay it.
Oh,
So guess who paid?
yeah. I hope he did.
No.
No.
We did.
He applied
did,
for
actually.
Medicare. or
Uncle
something.
Uncle Sugar did.
Yeah.
Us.
Yeah, it's crazy. Of course, you can talk about that.
Oh. Anyways, let's go to the neighborhoods. It's more fun.
Neighborhood's more fun.
Neighborhood? What about... Oh, no, why don't give us about 15 more minutes? Why don't we have one more topic I thought there was here? I'm really losing it. I'm forgetting.
Yeah, I know you're losing it.
Yeah,
I
right.
had nothing to lose, but,
Yeah.
one case. Okay, Mr. Putin in the Ukraine.
Mr. Putin.
He's Putin on the Ritz, right? That's what that is.
Putin
well.
on the Ritz.
I still can't comprehend why anybody would want to go under the Russian government because after they fought to get rid of it.
Yeah.
You know, when the Iron Curtain and all this other stuff. And the strange story about that, after the Iron Curtain fell, we were in Germany shortly thereafter, and the Russian soldiers couldn't go back to Russia because they had no place to live. There was no room.
No room.
They didn't have any housing there for them.
There he is. It's probably Putin right now on the phone saying, Jack, what are you going to talk about?
But we were in Poland, and the Russians had some strange architecture. They used to go and build, let's go and put a building right here on a corner. And, of course, half of the building went into the street. And it all looked the same. It looked like one on top of the other. We saw, I think it was 7 stories high. And down the street was a 3-story building. It looked almost the same except the top floor.
Can you imagine what it looks like in Japan or China?
And the other one was that they wanted to put a statue up, and the Poles didn't want it, but Russians said, you got to put it up. So they put it in a park, and then they planted trees all around so you couldn't see it.
Was it Stalin?
I forgot who the statue was.
One of those guys, huh?
But the other one was in my wife's parents' hometown, they want to call it. Or they put a big building up. They call it the building of cultural building or something like that. A big eyesore. But it was so big.
We have those in Chicago.
Yeah, I know. We got those too. But it was so big, nobody wanted to tear it down.
You see where Trump is putting his name on
Trump
on his
Tower,
building, and
yeah.
it's
12-foot high letters, I think it is.
Yeah.
It's called
yeah.
the Trump Tower.
Yeah.
You mean
Yeah.
he's putting a sign
He's
up?
just putting his name, Trump.
It's Trump Towers.
Yeah, well, he's got an ego problem.
Yeah,
No problem. He's got an ego.
yeah, there's no problem.
Who
with it.
doesn't?
You
You know what? He
He can
loves
afford it, though.
he loves Chicago. I saw him interviewed. He seems to be very upfront and everything. He said, "I love Chicago." He said, "You know why?" He said, "You talk to a contractor and he says I'm going to build it for this much. He builds it and he comes in on time." He said, "In New York City, nothing works." He didn't say nothing works.
Wait a minute. How about Millennium Park?
Well,
I
that
don't
was
know
a
if he had
political.
anything to do with Millennium Park, but
No, but I mean, they come in
the Trump
with contractor.
Tower. Who
Well, you
thought he
got-
would
you got-
come into
you got-
Chicago and build
You
it?
got to remember, first of all, the architecture built the park, Millennium Park, and then we had some architects called with law degrees on it. Didn't know what the hell an architect did. They said, we're going to put this over here, put this over here, put this over here, put this over here. And they had to go down and reinforce the columns because of the fact they crushed the columns and this type of thing.
I can't imagine what kind of a deal the Park District gives them free water, or it's a city deal. Like I don't even know who owns it. You think it's in Grand Park? It'd be part
Well,
of the
you
Park
have enough,
District.
if you pay enough in.
Well, hospitals and churches go free.
They're starting to fight
I
with
thought
that.
they changed that for
the
sure.
churches particularly.
It's a lot of.
This is the
buildings.
same city
All of
where.
those storefront churches also go free.
Yeah.
Well, this is the same city where
There's
the Silversides Museum, which was the Silversides old submarine, was to be.
Sure.
We were on that, docked at Naval Armory.
Yep.
Okay, they had their own private
Navy
little thing,
Pier.
kind of on
505.
operation. They were charging them. They wanted to charge them to more, but the Columbia Yacht Club with that giant thing had no charge at all. So go figure. You know.
No,
Oh, they
it's
moved to
not-
Muskegon.
Yeah.
Muskegon welcomed them, and they put up a dock for them
Tom,
and everything else.
Do these guys know that we live in Chicago?
That's right.
This is the,
The city,
Chicago
the city,
way.
the city that works.
Yeah.
That's how it
You
works.
bring a gun to a knife fight, and
right.
Yeah.
Well, well, Chicago is sort of different, but the
How would we know?
That
We're
Silverside
born into-
had. That's where that corpsman did an operation,
Appendectomy?
appendectomy or something like that. I mean, there had a
was
history
it?
there.
we were aboard there with the
Mastectomies.
Cub Scouts, and that was quite a thing. They got those hot bunks.
Oh,
You got about
Yes.
15 inches between bunks.
Yeah.
And you only have enough for a third of the crew.
You know, the other thing I love it. You're bunked between the torpedoes.
That too.
Our friend Gene Sinise, Tom and myself, you know Gene, you'd laugh even harder, but he said to the guy giving the tour, he says, how does John Wayne manage to run down the hallway here? You know, something like
Yeah. I was aboard a ship one time, and if you got two people running opposite directions down that hall, forget it.
I could never be on a submarine
Well, a submarine, you got to
or
have
a mine.
First of all, you got to be relatively small.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's no way in hell you're going to be able to get on there.
Can you
Plus, you have
imagine-
to have the mentality.
They're going to have
Top.
women on, when they,
Wow.
Oh, the other thing,
eventually, yeah.
They changed that
More-
now. Yeah,
There's
they're going
submarines?
to allow them on.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
mortality
sure.
rate on submarines in the Second World War is like
No, surely.
80%.
Well, it wouldn't be the mortality rate with the women on there. It'd be the birth rate.
Fertility rate, yeah.
Well, they found out
fertility
already.
rate, yeah.
They're finding out a lot of these ladies in the Navy were kind of purposely getting themselves in a family way so they wouldn't have to go out to sea or something.
Yeah, well, that's also true. But
Wait,
you
you and your baby are going on the submarine. I'm sorry.
Well, it's just the idea of the mortality rate on a submarine, especially in Germany.
Can you imagine?
It was like
the-
80%
Yeah.
ultimately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you
The,
imagine the ball busting that would go on there? You'd have to have very, very thick skin.
No, but the submarine, the U-505, that's in the Museum of Science and Industry, which is a great exhibit. If you missed, you haven't seen it yet, you got to go see it. It's
yeah.
unbelievable.
When did that come there?
But anyways, there's a story about that too. But they actually, the crew was saved by being captured, because otherwise the chances of them surviving the war would have been slim.
One German got killed on the tower.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
One-
you
yeah.
know what the United States had to do? They had to isolate those people so that they couldn't write back home.
Yeah.
Because they say, oh, well, I got a letter from, so and so, and hey, he's
Know
not
where
dead.
they're
Well,
How would they do that?
Huh?
They didn't deliver mail to Germany from here, did they?
Not during the war, they didn't.
Oh,
no.
that. Oh, later.
Yeah, well, that's what I said.
But the
I think they put them up in Canada or someplace like
no,
that.
they had them here in the States, but
Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan.
but they
the upper
they had to get that submarine across the ocean without any Nazi organizations finding out about it. So they had to sneak it across, and all this type of stuff. So it was real quite a operation.
Well, you know what
I
else?
think they had them on Lincoln Avenue, didn't they?
No, but they were going
they
to
made it into a German restaurant.
Yeah.
They actually have a submarine in Lake Michigan that's at the bottom. I think it's UC-95 or something.
But you know what the problem with the U-505 is? If Germany knew that it had been captured, they would have changed their Enigma code.
Well,
And
that
the
was
Navy
already
was
broken.
very unhappy with Admiral Gallery, Dan Gallery, and they said, hey,
His brother baptized me.
is that right?
He was a priest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know he's from the. They're Chicagoans, although he was living up in. He eventually took over at Great Lakes. He was the admiral
Was he?
up there.
He was
yeah.
also was pastor of
Well,
St. Cecilia's.
You're
one
talking
of them.
about his brother.
The brother,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah. He was pastor of St. Cecilia. That's a church or parish that doesn't
But
exist.
they,
gone
I mean,
now, it's
but
no.
they do have a movie about how it was transported across Lakeshore Drive and all that stuff.
I
I was
saw
there.
that.
I was there
quite-
that day.
Were you?
I saw that,
yeah.
too.
When they had the sign
the
on
rails?
Lakeshore Drive.
My father took me over and we saw him move it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other one was when they moved it from the crib they had outside for umpteen years,
Yeah. It was
And
starting to melt.
and then they had to move it across, reposition it over the hole, drop it down, and they said they were
Yeah.
within about 2 inches or less or something like that of the original specification. And but
Whoops.
if you look at it, though, it's like transporting an egg.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
a cracked egg, actually, because
yeah.
of the fact it was so
Yeah.
Delicate.
delicate
Yeah.
because of it was all basically rusted out.
Yeah. Yeah. The Chicago weather got to it.
Yeah, it was sort of, it was. Well, the same thing with the 727 they got in the museum too.
Oh,
that was another one they had to bring across Lakeshore Drive, and that
you
was a
just
little
fly.
more intrigued to that one because
Yeah, and they landed at Meigs Field.
that was
and
the
it's-
biggest plane that ever
Where?
landed.
At Meigs Field.
What's Meigs Field?
Yeah, what's Meigs Field?
Northerly Island.
Yeah,
To be-
That was the biggest plane that ever landed at Meigs.
yeah,
Now with the U-505, Navy had plans of maybe using it for target. Do you remember that?
Right.
They would destroy
where
it.
they, yeah.
And then
Michigan.
I think
Then-
Chicago
Was it-
stepped
In
in and
Michigan,
got it.
yeah.
They had to go through politics to get it.
Yeah, I don't know who were the Gallery family, but they were from. You said there was a priest his brother was
Oh,
a
the Gallery,
priest,
yes.
and, yeah,
Wasn't he a Monsignor?
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
well,
then there was someone else was in
so am I.
media.
Yeah, they got.
Something
They
like
anyways,
that.
they got it here, and they
Yeah.
were able to.
MSGR? Oh, no,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Messenger.
But it's quite an exhibit down there. They lost the original periscope to it, but other than that, they do have
Yeah.
periscopes down there.
Now
They
that-
also don't have the Enigma.
They have one there.
The what?
Well, it's a typewriter or something, but from what I understand, it's
They-
not original. So
Well, they
it's,
claim it is, but I don't know.
Yeah, but that was the big thing. The Navy was just afraid that if they knew that this thing had been captured, that
They probably decorated with stuff and said like Robert E. Lee or something on it when they were towing her.
But there was quite a. They got a movie about it, and they.
yeah,
I don't know if it's the original movie or not, but reenacted if nothing else, and they showed
Yeah.
where they opened the stillcocks on there and all
yeah,
that stuff,
and
and
they were able to
get down there and close it
to
off.
close it off. Yeah,
This,
but
the ship was about half underwater by the time they stopped everything,
Yeah.
and they were able
Yeah.
to tow it and pump it
Yeah.
out. and
That
all
was
that stuff.
probably John Wayne.
yeah, it was John Wayne.
No, John
came
Wayne
over.
wouldn't fit down there.
But that's what happened with the German submarine services. Submarines would just disappear, and they
Down at the bottom of the
after
ocean.
Yeah.
6
Who
months,
cared?
they'd write them off.
I wonder if I had
Yeah.
any cousins down there, because my
Yeah, they,
grandparents came from Austria for the First World War. And,
So did mine.
yeah, they used to. Some of them used to blow up. Some of it's just never surfaced for no unknown reason,
yeah.
and they
We
essentially they
destroyed-
suffocated.
We
Yeah.
destroyed, and one month, I think it was March of '43. We sunk like 30 submarines, and that was the turning point of
Yeah.
where it was submarines were supreme to where submarines were now being hunted.
Well, the U-boat, that was basically Germany's Navy because they were, by treaties after war, and by the way, certain clauses of the Versailles, they weren't supposed to have a larger Navy. That's why you had,
Right.
the
They
Graf
did-
Spee was a pocket battleship. It was the
Yeah.
size of a cruiser or something, or a
Yeah.
destroyer.
Yeah, it
It
was.
had heavy armaments on it, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
the other one, they a lot of people don't know about. They did have a aircraft carrier.
yeah. It never went in service though. They
Not
never
really.
completed
No,
it.
there was
No.
a couple stories about that. One was Goering wouldn't allow them to have airplanes, and Goering controlled all the planes.
But-
There was, it's another corrupt guy. He'd do anything for money.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
I saw they couldn't only get so many of those Zeppelins on the aircraft carrier then. Yeah?
right.
But,
Yeah.
but they do have a model of it, and
Yeah.
it's quite interesting.
They did a couple of battleships too, but
Yeah, but
what's this got to do with Putin?
Well,
I was just going to say the
Yeah.
same
Well,
thing. Yeah.
he's got Hitler's playbook, we figure.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's what
uh,
Charles Kramer said.
he's got to grow a mustache yet, though.
Yeah.
Oh, I was that guy. He acted like I did when I was 15. Always has his shirt off.
He sure got everybody
Ooh,
BS'd.
Yeah.
He,
No, he's
man,
got everybody
He's running-
scared.
he's
That's
got-
what it
yeah,
is.
he's got, everybody is afraid of him. Yeah.
By the way, before we go to break shortly,
Yeah.
who knows who Admiral Gallery was married to? Does anyone know?
Mrs.
Admiral
Gary.
who?
Admiral Gallery.
Gallery. Yeah,
Oh.
Mrs. Gallery.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Was this You Bet Your Life? No, it was Zazu Pitts.
She didn't marry Zazu Pitts.
She didn't. He didn't.
No, he didn't. She didn't.
No,
They
he
did.
did.
They did?
They even divorced later, so I don't know
Oh,
why,
yeah.
but they,
Yeah.
Zazu Pitts. Now, listen, for all you young folks out there,
They-
a U-boat, World War II. You may have heard about that somewhere. U-boat was the name of they designated German submarines U-boat, probably Underwater or something.
Underwater,
right?
yeah.
Underwater.
Sure. Yeah, underwater.
Is that what that means?
Yeah, underwater.
And that was the biggest part of the German Navy.
Yeah.
It was always below the water.
By the way, one of my
Wasser.
students is a twin, and his brother was a lawyer. His brother lived up in, I think, Lake Forest. He lived next door to Admiral Gallery.
He did.
And Admiral Gallery had a couple of dogs or something. They were running wild all the time, and they were pooping on this guy's lawn.
Hey.
So he calls the police, and the police ignore him. We're not going to arrest Admiral Gallery. So he walked into the police station, and he went to the chief of police. He said, "I'm going to sue you personally and the city unless you take care of it." So the upshot of it was they did write a ticket, and the admiral had to put a fence around his house to contain the dogs because they were running wild. Uh-oh. I see hand signals going here.
We'll be right back
We'll
after
be right
these
back.
messages of interest and importance.
No, she just made it.
Hey friends, do you need an awning over your front, side, or back door? Or your windows? How about a canopy for your carport? Or a patio cover over your patio so you can enjoy being outside in case of rain? All you have to do is call Awnings and More, and Raphael Bogus will drive over, measure up whatever you need, and go from there. You can call Awnings and More at area code 773-710-8403 or 847-890-1447. So if you need awnings for your windows or doors, call Raphael Bogus at Awnings and More at area code 773-710-8403 or 847-890-1447. Now, Raphael also installs hand railings for your front, side, or back steps. You must be safe when you go up and down the steps, especially in bad weather. So for awnings or handrails, call Raphael Bogus at area code 773-710-8403 or 847-890-1447. Again, Awnings and More for awnings and handrails, call Raphael Bogus at 773-710-8403 or 847-890-1447.
Our show. Jack?
Okay, finally we'll get to the second part of our topic, and our real topic, which is all about neighborhoods and how they made the men of us we are today, molded us in, or in our case of the next batter, the lady. Neighborhood, community, whatever you want to call it.
Lay down.
Jeanette?
I came from a neighborhood that started to exist at North Avenue in Cicero, 4700 West. And, you say those streets and those are just street names. But I can get on the phone with a friend, many friends that I grew up with, and a 5-minute phone call can turn into an hour just talking about our street, our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And the street was Keating Avenue. Long story short, we moved there in the 40s from Minnesota, and I went through my schooling and acquired so many friendships. But the nice thing about a neighborhood at that time was you stayed in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Your neighborhood consisted of a mile each way, let it be north, south, east, or west. You had your own tailor, your own grocery store, your own meat market, your Italian store, your dry goods store, your movie theater. You owned that piece of land that was miles each way. The point I'm probably trying to say is we knew everybody. We knew everybody, and everybody knew us. So as kids, sometime, even though you didn't think you were a rowdy kid, you had to kind of be careful. Mrs. So-and-so saw you. He saw you. You know, you cut down your alleys. You never used the front of the house.
No.
The stepping on the lawn didn't even mean anything to us. We lived in the alleys. I mean, we cut through the alley. We played in the prairies, which now are all used car lots, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And we made tunnels, and we roasted potatoes on that dirty cement, and you know,
I know, yeah.
all of that.
Nobody ever thought
And
about it.
every kid in my life, every person comes from that area. As I think back of connections, we married each other. I mean,
Yeah,
that's how bad it got.
Jeanette, what did you call your neighborhood? North Austin or maybe La Follette Park? How did you refer to where you
Well,
lived?
at the time it was called the Cragen area.
Cragen.
Cragen,
Okay.
and I believe that reached to Armitage Avenue,
Okay.
you know. But and of course over the years that really was the northwest side. Now it's called the west side, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in my case, my dad was the veterinarian in the neighborhood. So not only did we know everybody else was our clients or their animals and so on and so forth. So it was a small town communication. And as I said, we were so connected, and we always had that odd person and that funny person and that, oh, you don't know about her and you don't know about him. But in general, we were there for each other.
Sure.
We were never, how do we say, comparative. We didn't care what each other had. We never looked at each other's furniture or this and
You
that.
were probably all the same economic.
We were the same. We
status.
were all struggling, I'm
Yeah.
sure, didn't know it, but were. And we did talk about veterans. I can remember a plaque on our corner with all the fellas in the
names.
neighborhood. We lost quite a few of them, too. And we would have dedications, and we would write to them, too. And a block over was the Continental Can Company, which was now, in these last few years, the first Walmart store in Chicago.
Yeah.
And we played in all their parking lots, and they during the war they would make all the food cans for all of the soldiers,
service,
sailors,
yeah.
and so on. And we just everything was ours. We owned every building. It was our neighborhood,
Yeah.
and which today it feels bad to see it so terribly run down and so criminal,
Infested.
filled and infested like crazy. But as I say, that was the roots. But as a child and playing up and down those streets, we had a candy store in the middle of my block, the 1700 block.
Everybody had one.
Yeah, definitely. And talking about a building, it was nearing 100 years old. And one day I said to my brother, and everybody had a front porch. Everybody met by 6 o'clock on your front porch, and you played to the street lights.
And you stayed there because there was no air conditioning.
Well, it never did have
Sure.
it.
No.
No. And I said to my brother one day, I'm going to buy the candy store someday. And he goes, yeah, and then we'll have a lot of candy. And then, I guess he was thinking I'd buy the candy store and I'd bring
And
home
give it
all the
away,
candy.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
But who would run the bookie in the basement?
Right, and we did have a bookie in the neighborhood. Everybody did,
I'm shocked.
Beck, he was
Yeah.
my dad's tenant. But anyway, the funny thing about it was, when I was 20, I did buy that building.
Really?
I
Okay,
did.
Excellent.
And I did have that store for
And you
about...
became the bookie.
And I became the candy lady. But, I mean, it was a deli. And I had it for 15 years. And I was open from 6 in the morning till 9 at night. I
Oh,
worked it
6 in the
myself.
morning. My God.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it just was fantastic. So then what happened from that point on, naturally, I had the candy store. I was I was like the movie star of the neighborhood. You know, she has the candy store. And so then I got to know people even farther out. You know, they all came there and charged their food, and everything was on the paper bag, and you know. But it was fantastic. It was fantastic. So I kind of lived out a dream, not really realizing how much work I would be getting into.
Yeah.
And I was able to help people that came to have one of my apartments. It had 3 apartments. And sometimes they didn't have rent for 3-4 months. Not that I could afford to do that, but it was like my neighbor's kid.
Yeah.
He just got married and he needs a place to live. You know, we never talked business. It was, I know you.
What made you give up the candy store? Just a career advancement in the media?
Yeah, and I had enough children now, and we had an opportunity to buy my husband's family home, and that was on Long Avenue, which was only a mile west of us, and it was time to go as far as that.
You could sense it.
And so that was my history, and how could I not have loved that area where everything
at that
about
time,
it, right, and every neighborhood, just like when I moved to the southwest side, had its own church, and no matter your religion, you know, it was really sewed up, you know, and the good old days, the ponies on the street and the popcorn man and. You know, the
Knife
good
sharpener.
humor guy.
The knife sharpener guy?
Kind of like a family. The knife sharpener,
What was it, Miss Ramsey?
Yeah, I mean, it was just like a fantasy. To a point where my youngest son, to this day, feels he lived on that street. He was born on Long.
Yeah.
Why do I bring it up? That is how much he has heard our friends and us talk of things, that by the time he got to be his age, he thought he lived there. You know, he can repeat our stories over and over. So, I'm proud to say that I came from not the fancy place, but we were equal, and and I have those friends till this day. Some of us have passed.
So this was in the same neighborhood you grew up in, lived when you're married then too, huh?
Yes, I did. Well,
And
see, I had
Mr. Frontier was from around there or no?
Yeah, well, that's another story. See, I married a fellow in the neighborhood.
Very good.
And many of my girlfriends did the same thing.
Yeah.
Who were policemen and firemen.
Who are you going to marry? The person that lives next door?
These days,
Oh, my Lord.
These days you can never tell.
Boy next
My
door.
upstairs neighbor,
what are you going to marry?
all through our childhood, her son was going to marry me. I mean, it was all planned out.
only
Didn't
people you
happen.
know?
Yeah.
Didn't happen. But my husband's grandparents lived on the 1500 block, across the street across North
Cross
Avenue.
Avenue, yeah.
And you know, we all knew each other.
Yeah.
And he was over there all the time. And so you start to know somebody, and you know. And then we had the sections of kids: the older kids, the younger, and then the baby kids. You know how?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, then he was the older, and I was in between. So we didn't have anything to do with them. I mean, we knew them, but we didn't hang with them. See, and so for us to all end up marrying each other was
a 2-year
quite
difference was
amazing.
like
Oh, my.
you know,
not good.
yeah. Oh yeah, you didn't you know the
So,
big kids or the
yeah.
little kids. You didn't hang around with either of them. You had to be your own.
And then they all knew my parents very well, even if they were new to me.
well,
See, so we had such a intimate connection with each other. You know?
I can relate. That was the same with me. you know.
Yeah. In fact, we're trying to have a reunion
You know,
because it's getting a place big enough. The whole world wants to come. I mean, it's amazing.
yeah,
But so I'm proud of that
yeah.
little area. And
Are you
I
involved
wish
with that, or getting the reunion, or
the reunion? Yeah. Well, what we're going through is, you know, everybody's moved to other cities, and we have to get everybody's addresses.
Do
and-
you have any contact you can talk about, or anybody's contact so and so, or if anybody knows so and so?
Oh,
You're
you
on the
mean to each other? We have sent out letters to people, and I don't know the end result right now. I
Yeah.
really don't know. But yeah, you're thinking of the names that I
Yeah,
should.
and I mean, can you tell the people
I
anything?
appreciate you saying it, but I really can't
You don't want to give
right
yours?
now. No, I just don't have enough
Okay,
information.
next month, folks.
All right, all right, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, and of course we've lost a lot of each
Sure.
other.
Oh, are you kidding?
You know,
Sure,
we
yeah.
have done that too. You know, I went to Austin High School, very,
Oh.
very large high school.
What grammar school did you go to?
St. Peter Canisius, which
Oh.
just closed down.
Yeah.
You know, we donated or sold the inside of the church to a church in Antioch
That's
that
interesting.
that my daughter goes to, who said, "Mom, you won't believe it. There's a plaque where our furniture came from, and it's from." They went to school there too. You know.
Yeah.
See, I went there. My kids went there.
Yeah.
Then finally, they didn't go there, and they went to Ella Flagg Young
Oh, yeah.
School. Yeah,
Yeah.
they ended up there.
Which I think is still there.
Yeah, it sure is on Parkside. But so that was it, and we had two shows, the Tiffin and the Manor.
Oh,
One was on Central, and one was down toward Pulaski. And everything we did, we walked to.
Oh, yeah.
Even North Avenue Beach, 12
Wow.
miles
That's
away.
a law.
You
We
walk
walked
that
there
far? That's
often.
incredible. That's
You
incredible.
Often.
Yeah.
Are you sure? You know,
No,
the leg, you know.
no,
There
streetcars.
I think it would have taken the
Yeah,
streetcar.
but we would walk as a group, and all of a sudden we were there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Incredible.
but so I think and playing all the games we
Yeah.
played, didn't have toys or
No.
borrowed a bike. We could rent a bike for a dime.
Wow.
A neighborhood man would fix old bikes, and you know, and we would borrow out our roller skates, our rubber ball. Somebody'd come to your door and say, "Can I use the ball?" You know,
Oh, sure,
we
and
didn't
you-
have
no,
like my
yeah.
grandchildren, 100 of everything.
No.
Uh-uh.
No.
And that was fun.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Yeah. So I hope you tell me the same thing about your neighborhood.
Remember when the guys take an old set of roller skates, take a 2x4, jack them on there,
the crate?
the crate, the
Yeah.
handlebars.
Oh yeah.
That was
Absolutely.
typical.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
You hear the sound of the, around.
Yeah. you
those
can
those
still-
noisy damn things, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
it
it,
goes
see,
to
it
show
was,
you.
you don't see that anymore, though.
No, they don't.
Ingenuity.
They don't even play.
Kids,
They don't
kids
even
drown.
play.
You don't see anybody playing, period. No one's
They don't
you go
come out.
up and down the streets.
Nobody's out.
here's one. I don't want to intrude on your time, but yo, Bobby.
Oh, yeah.
You call your
Oh,
friends that
yo,
way. Now
yeah.
they call them on their cell phone.
Oh yeah.
Yo, Bobby, come on. Can you come out and play?
God.
Well, I just
Okay.
never learned that part.
You never even used the phone in your home. I mean, literally. You.
We didn't have a phone
We di-
until after the war.
But
you know.
yeah, I mean, the point is,
Here.
you you walk to that house.
Then there was a party line.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I-
Or when you picked up the phone, the operator said, "Number, please."
Yeah.
Number,
Yeah.
please. Yeah.
Players.
I know the
And
South
then it-
Siders did. We didn't have that.
And then
we
the
could
phone number
dial.
had Berkshire or Spalding.
Yeah,
or
exchanges.
National.
Oh
I mean,
yeah. Oh sure.
You didn't
We
have
had
numbers.
Republic, Grove Hill, Prospect 6,
The
Prospect.
Prospect. Mine was Prospect
Gladstone.
62584.
I remember
See?
that. Republic 78651.
Yeah.
Pensacola.
Actually, I
Grove
remember
Hill.
that, your number.
Yeah.
Hemlock.
Yeah,
When we moved out to Des Plaines, they had they were going to that. I can't think of the name of that phone company.
General.
Central, I
There
think it
a
was.
Central,
Yeah.
Yeah, Central, but it was
and
part
they
of
had a
General
big
Tell and Tell.
fight
Yeah.
between Park Ridge and Des Plaines, and Park Ridge was a little higher class than Des Plaines, and they wanted the Vanderbilt exchange.
Oh my.
They wanted, and they finally, we had it in Des Plaines, VA 4 8642.
Yeah.
But I always thought that was something that they,
Yeah.
just for a name like that. Oh no, we want Vanderbilt. We're a little big higher class.
Can I go back to last month?
No.
Kenny was talking about the old Southworks and what they were doing there. They built a road. It's 41. The intersection of 79th Street was rebuilt.
Oh.
That was you
That's
wouldn't even
about-
recognize
that
it.
where it ended, really, didn't it?
Well,
Or it became side streets anyway. I don't
that
know
was
the
South.
side.
That was
that
South
well.
Shore Drive. Was there until
Yeah.
another couple blocks. But this is where the water plant comes in.
Yeah.
So they rebuilt that intersection. The whole area was torn down, and they moved it up about quarter mile. and they put a 4-lane highway in there, or road in there.
I got to get out and check that out one of these
But
days.
you never guess what they call it.
No, I know the water plant's on Cheltenham Place,
Yeah.
and it only runs about 2 blocks. And I
lived
don't
on
know,
but this-
part
this-
of South Shore or
We
something.
lived on Cheltenham.
No, they don't
Place.
call it South
Yeah.
Shore. What they call it is Lakeshore Drive.
Oh, Lakeshore
Yeah.
Drive, yeah.
And I said, how the hell can they call it Lakeshore
Lakeshore
Drive
Drive,
when
yeah.
it's a mile? They have the direction there, you know.
Yeah.
But anyways, they call it Lakeshore Drive. It goes for about a mile and a half. Then it swings back up to South Shore Drive again, across the bridge, and it sort of disappears after that.
How far south does it go from?
It
And-
goes
and
down
South Shore
to it goes down to the canal to the
Equator.
No, I mean south.
The equator.
The
you know,
equator.
or the
Thank you, Jack. I didn't know that.
Lakeshore Drive or
Yeah. Or
South Shore Drive.
Drive.
South Shore Drive stops before it gets that far.
Yeah,
it
as I
goes-
say, it stops about 83rd, and then
Yeah,
then
something
it
like
goes
that.
through. You
Yeah,
know.
it doesn't even, I don't think it even goes that far. It stops by
Commercial
St.
Avenue.
Michael's Church, that area there.
Yeah, and that's yeah.
That's US 41 there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's US 41, but they turned it off and they went around and they go back and it's sort of like a big U that comes in there. And I said, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
who am I to plan this stuff?
What
And it
does
was-
in the city here, huh?
Yeah.
It was vacant. You know, it wasn't used for I don't know how, a couple of years at least. They built it
Yeah.
and it was blocked off.
Well, they want to do. What do they want to do now out in South Shore? They want to start.
I don't know what they want to do. They're still confused over
another
there.
community, really. you
Yeah,
know.
they want to build a community there.
Yeah.
But the other one you asked about was the parakeets.
Yeah.
All right, they're monk parakeets, and they call them Harold's birds because of the fact that I guess one of the first nests was right outside Harold's apartment,
Oh.
Harold
Harold who?
Washington's apartment. But there's a slew of these things over in Jackson Park driving range, where the golf course area there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some kind of a parrot that lives in the Andes or something high up and can stand the cold.
Oh.
They
But-
told me so themselves.
Yeah.
But the-
Harold
the-
is also the one that saved them.
Okay.
They wanted to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
they said that they apparently had a similar bird here years ago before the pioneers came in here and screwed everything up.
The passenger pigeon?
No, that was before passenger pigeon, and they had a parakeet too,
Oh,
of
okay.
sorts.
Parakeets, that's the Italian word for twins.
Yeah, something like
Anyway, we digress. Mr.
But
McKenna?
But anyways, it's like a parrot, but
Yeah.
small. I don't know. I don't understand the difference between a parakeet and a parrot, but they're called monk parakeets, and they're gray, and
Yeah.
they're a pest. They build these
We don't
nests.
have pests in Chicago.
Come on.
What are
They
you talking about?
build these nests all over the light
We
poles.
digress.
Yes.
That's enough. You had
That's
your time
enough.
last week.
Yeah, your parakeets.
Yeah.
are
What is this
talking
filibuster here? What is this? Mr. Smith goes to Washington? Tom, you want to try a crack at it? 8 minutes and you continue afterward.
I grew up at 63rd and Hermitage, South Side, St. Theodore Parish. Most people don't know where St. Theodore Parish was because it wasn't on a main street. It was in the middle of the block on the 6200 block of South Paulina. And my neighborhood stretched on the south to Ashland, on the east Ashland, west Damon, the north 59th Street, and the south 67th Street. That was my entire world until I was about 17 or 18 years old. Naturally went to St. Theodore Grammar School, then went to St. Rita High School, which was approximately a mile walk west. That's when St. Rita was still at 63rd and Claremont. And it's a very common theme in people talking about their neighborhoods that we knew everybody on the block. I mean, I could tell you the name of every single person on both sides of the street between 63rd and 62nd on Hermitage, and everybody knew me, and we had I had two brothers and one sister, and if you did anything wrong, there were the women on the block were the first ones to tell our parents what we did. And again, if you don't have something or never have something, you don't miss it. We never had a car until I was about 13. Took the bus or walked everywhere. Didn't have a television set when I was growing up. But again, you didn't miss it. The air conditioning, I remember when the first person on our block that had an air conditioner was Ed Costello. He was a policeman worked in the old Morgan Park station, and he had a breathing problem. He had some asthma, and he had an air conditioner put in to his bedroom. You know, he had in those days you had to have special wiring, and I still, that was what, 60 years ago now. I still remember walking in. We could like walk into the room to feel the air conditioning. You walked in and go, man,
this is living.
This is it. How could it possibly get any better than this?
Yeah.
We used to walk. The neighbor two houses over had a television set, and he used to let us come in and watch some of the television programs if we kept quiet and sat on the floor. And again, it's I remember there was it's the same neighborhood that John grew up in. He was on the far west on Damon Avenue. That was like the
suburban St. Theodore.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I remember one of the Sextons, or the Sexton family, actually moved to 79th and Kedzie on Southwest Highway, and I remember to this day when they moved saying, "Well, never see them again."
No,
I mean they're
from
gone.
Marshfield
They're gone. They're out of the world.
Yeah.
The world as I knew it.
Was your I know there was a theater called the West Englewood. Was that still in operation?
We had the Ogden. The Ogden was on
Ogden.
63rd, just west of Ashland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was our show. The big deal going over there to watch 25 cartoons. And you'd get a quarter to go to the show. I think that was enough to get in and buy a candy bar or whatever. And I remember it was like the major event when you're going to the show. I think the show used to open at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We'd get in line at like 9 o'clock in the morning.
Really?
With nothing else to do.
Oh.
It was just such a major event, and just hang out until the show opened.
Yeah. You know what they used to do in our neighborhood? If there was, because they normally showed, like you said, a cartoon and maybe a serial, and 2 movies, and then preview. And then if they had a line waiting to get in, they would actually stop the show, put the lights on. They'd say, anybody that wants to leave, you get a free comic book. Well, everybody was going to get a free comic book, so we went out one door and they came in the other door, and they wanted to get that, sell those tickets.
You remember when they used to give free dishes away too?
I don't know. I don't remember. Mm-hmm. By the way, I do have to tell you, you did really have a firehouse in that neighborhood. The closest fire engine was at 63rd and Laughlin.
Right.
Engine 64.
We were there.
Yeah, we went in there. That's torn down now.
Yeah, and they're still around though. They're out. They're out at 76th and Pulaski. They moved them at least.
Not the same guys.
Same guy.
Yes, sir?
Oh yeah. They got crutches to go pull that hose.
They had it was that Englewood area. Even then had fires, and they had a good run.
There's a lot of
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hose around that old spot right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, Tom. Come on. You got 2 minutes. Come on. Give us more 2 minutes.
Well, and again, talking about, meeting girls, I mean, the only girls you knew were the ones that you went to grammar school with or lived in the neighborhood. And I remember finally we went at a one of the dances at St. Rita. Our group of guys met some girls from around 55th and Kedzie, which was, I mean, that was like
light years away.
Far out.
Yeah, the end of the world.
Yeah.
And I mean that broadened our horizons.
No pun intended there.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
But and then I mean almost every business that we were patrons to were right on 63rd Street. Mm-hmm. You talk about the old neighborhood, and on 63rd, the corner of 63rd and Hermitage, there were 3 taverns and a medical center.
Yeah.
And next to the medical center was a funeral home.
Thompson's.
So you could drink yourself till you got sick. You went to the medical center. They killed you, and they just wheeled you next door to the funeral home. So you didn't have to leave the neighborhood for anything.
And they still charge you $1,000 for the ambulance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom.
Yeah, they had a shoot in the back to the mortician there.
I have to laugh. Oh,
Okay, we're going to take another break. We will be back shortly.
Exhibitors Carpet Service has changed their name to Carpet Warehouse at 4300 West Montrose Avenue in Chicago, and their new location at 440 North Sheridan Road in Highwood, Illinois, called Carpet of Highwood. Stop in at Carpet Warehouse, located at 4300 West Montrose Avenue, and their phone number is area code 773-283-0100, or at 440 North Sheridan Road in Highwood, and that phone number is area code 847-266-1400. For carpets in your living room, dining room, bedroom, den, or family room, stop in at either location for a great deal. Once again, Carpet Warehouse, 4300 West Montrose Avenue, and their phone number is area code 773-283-0100 in Chicago, or Carpet of Highwood at 440 North Sheridan Road, and that phone number is area code 847-266-1400. Remember, if you need a carpet in your living room, dining room, bedroom, den, or family room, stop in at 4300 Montrose Avenue in Chicago, and once again, that phone number is area code 773-283-0100, or at 440 North Sheridan Road in Highwood, and that phone number is area code 847-266-1400 for a great deal on carpeting.
No, I think I've spoken enough.
Okay.
About where I grew up.
You already did.
no, we don't care.
You don't care.
You did, or didn't you do it already?
Nope.
No,
I wasn't here last
he
month.
wasn't here.
Okay, let's do it then. Come on,
Remember, we had
Let's go.
we
I
had
can skip
that
mine.
great show last month.
Yeah.
It was really
Yeah,
nice.
nobody was here.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Come on, talk. Al Lipitz, quick.
I grew up around, I started growing up anyways around Kedzie and Irving Park. We had the Commodore Theater there.
Oh, sure.
And that was used to go there because it had air cooled.
Oh, yeah.
And they used to have a big unit on top of the roof. And I guess they had water going through there like an old cooling system that
And you
a lot of factories use.
Yeah.
And we used to go there again. You used to have two main features: cartoons, cereal.
Yeah.
I think it was
Coming
25
attractions.
cents plus a dime for popcorn or something
Wow.
like that.
What street you live on over there?
Whipple and Grace.
Oh, okay. Because, when my parents, what year are we talking, or what year?
We moved out in 48, I believe.
You moved out of there in 48?
Yeah, you live on the
Oh.
other side of the post office.
Well, my parents eventually moved out of what today is Old Town, wasn't it? They moved to Kedzie and Waveland.
Yeah, that's the other side of the post office.
Yeah, right.
60618.
Yeah, and that's right. Yeah.
At that time, it
and
was
they're
just
still
18.
there too.
Yeah, it was called 18. It was 18. It's zoned 18.
Yeah.
And then we moved to
Were you in grammar school already?
Forge Park, or not Forge Park, but Grover Cleveland Grammar School.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That was another Perkins design, from what I understand.
I know. Yeah, I understand. It was. They got an award for it too.
Yeah,
so.
and they had remedial students in there and stuff like that. So it was a big school, and a kindergarten remedial classes for some kids there. It had some. I hate to use the word strange, but
strange. You can use the word strange.
deformities that went there, and stuff like that. So.
But you weren't there for high school then, huh?
No, we moved to Portage Park. We lived across the street from Portage Park for a few years. And I went to Portage Park Grammar School.
Oh, okay.
Then I went over to Lane Tech.
Oh.
So I went all the way back.
You went all the way, yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, you should have stayed at on Whipple Street. Yeah.
So but anyways, I went and joined the Air Force. And they had the Pan American Games there, and they rebuilt Portage Park swimming pool.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw it was in a newsreel when I was overseas.
Yeah, yeah.
I knew it was being dug up and all this stuff.
That park is, I still live at, the Addison and Sisto area, and it is really.
Well, it's changed considerably over the last couple of years.
But for the better.
They used to have a big metal slide there, and some dumb kid fell off of it and hurt himself or killed himself, so they tore it down.
Yeah.
And then they had a beautiful rock garden there for years.
Yeah.
And again, some kid climbed there and fell off and either hurt himself or killed himself, so they tore that down. Yeah. They used to have a war memorial on the corner of Long and Irving Park, and instead of getting rid of the gangs that hung around the place, they tore the memorial down instead.
Oh, yeah, I didn't, yeah. Well, and then Mayor Daley put a fence around the whole place. And,
you had to pay for something.
Yeah, but they've added, they play a lot of soccer there now, plus baseball, or
baseball,
softball.
Football. They used to have a skating rink there. I don't know if they still do that or not. They used to freeze a football field area off of Central Avenue. Used to put a little berm around it, and then they flooded it and made an ice skating rink out of it. And then they had a little shack there.
Yeah.
Then they have a natatorium there, and that was closed for a few years because I guess they had some contamination or crackage or something like that, and then they had to repair it, and it took the city forever to do that.
They also have a senior citizens building there, which is sort of interesting.
Well, that's the old women's locker room, actually.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
I'm not sure where the women's changed now.
Yeah, right. And they have like a little water park there, which is sort of unique. They have a waterfall, and it's sort of a unique park.
Yeah,
plus it's it's a mile to walk around, so a lot of people jog in there. And they can jog, and they don't. They can. They don't have traffic to contend with. Yeah,
they used to have two fountains. Just off the corner of Irving Park and Central, but I don't ever remember seeing them operational.
Oh.
They were two sandstone fountains there.
Like we used to see in Lincoln Park, probably. Yeah.
And then they had another one there off of Linder on Irving Park.
Oh, okay.
And I think that was torn out. Don't remember right now.
It is a beautiful, well maintained
they have
park,
they have a nature center there too now.
Yeah, they had their own park district at one time. It was called Portage Park, and they wanted to it was sort of connected, I guess, with the park district, but it was separate.
Well, they also
was founded separately.
Yeah, later on they wanted to. Do districts, and Portage Park was supposed to be a district and cover about 3 or 4 parks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know whatever happened with that.
That's a little history,
Well, prior to 1934, you had Lincoln Park, West Parks, and South Parks separate park districts.
There was more than that.
Yeah. Well, those were the big ones, but they had like we had Kilbourne Park, and they had a couple of. They at least they picked up property, and they were able to get tax money. And Portage Park had its own.
Then they used to have police patrol, separate.
Yeah, park district police.
Yeah, park district police.
Patrol the parks in the boulevards. All of the parks in the city are connected by boulevards. A lot of people don't know that.
People don't know what it's all about. So go ahead.
Yeah. And right now I live right near Shabona Park, and Shabona Park. It's sort of an odd-shaped park. It's right.
You spent all your time in the park, I can see. You didn't
really. They just rebuilt the playground there, but it's right next to St. Priscilla's Church.
Yeah.
And it's confusing where the park ends and San Francisco begins. One of those type of problems. It's they had a Quonset hut back there for years, and they tore that down, and then they had a sort of a basketball court in the back there, and the kids started hanging around there, so they tore that out.
You grew up in a tough neighborhood. You're tearing things down.
Yeah,
you know what? They had I played volleyball out there, believe it or not. And they had a volleyball competition or.
Oh, that's North Avenue.
Yeah. Now it's North Avenue. Yeah, the North Avenue Beach House.
Yeah, some of those girls, what they wear there leaves not much to be.
It's what they don't wear.
What they don't wear.
Yeah. And then also Family the other one is Merrimack Park, which is even more of an interesting history in the back. It was Cozy's Light Park at one time, Electric Light Park. And it was a beer garden, and the Germans used to have all their parties there and everything else. And Cozy, from what I understand, used to be a bootlegger.
Oh. And everybody was a bootlegger back in those. I think my parents made homebrew too.
Great idea, that prohibition, huh?
Yeah, right.
And they named Schiller Park was actually Cozy at one time.
Cozy, yeah.
And they decided when, for some reason or other, they changed the name, but I guess Cozy had a little bit of a reputation. They didn't want to bring it over there.
Too, talking about that, it didn't come into the park district till like 59 or so, something like that. And I thought, Jesus, I didn't know that. But
yeah, they condemned the park, and they took it
the
over.
Family must have.
Was it a small park?
It's not that small.
No,
it's 2 blocks by 2 blocks.
Yeah, it's like 2.
Because those city play lots went to the city when they traded the boulevard. When the Exchange of Services Act of 1957, which brought the Park District Police merged. It was all part of that.
Yeah.
All those city play lot became part of the Park District.
Yeah. No, this is a good size.
It's a good size park.
In fact, the only time I was there is you invited me there. You were president of the local group, and
there was an organization there, Austin Urban Community Council, which now is defunct. But the organization originally started when the Dunning, or the Chicago State Hospital, which is otherwise known as Dunning, decided to close, and they said all the patients, for the most part, could be managed by drugs. There was there's a fallacy to it. The fact that you have to make sure that people take the drugs.
Yeah.
And not all of them took it, and they were wandering around aimlessly, and a lot of the city homeless, for lack of a better term, are mental problems because of the fact they don't take their meds.
Yeah.
But anyways, they formed because of the fact that they were a little apprehensive of what was going to happen to the neighborhood at that time, so they formed an organization. After they sort of quieted down, they also decided they needed a field house. So they also petitioned the city to build a field house.
Oh, that's when they built the field house,
Yeah, so it was right after that. And I do have a book about the dedication of the field house.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a book about the dedication of the field house at Porch Park.
Oh,
my old pastor was the officiating minister at the time.
Oh.
And I sort of found it interesting.
Yeah.
And
you never talked about your girlfriends, or Tom mentioned. Well, you didn't have to go out of 55th and Kedzie anyway.
No, I went to 18th and Western.
That just sort of blows my mind. He marries a girl from 18th and Western. That's not around the corner.
Well,
how did that happen?
I met a guy at Wright College, and I started hanging around together. And he used to hang around WLS.
Oh.
And we went to some of these sock hops and everything else where WLS was a DJ and all that type of thing. And
Jim Lounsbury?
Art Roberts.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot who else was there.
Dick Biondi, Bob Hale.
No, I never met Dick Biondi. I guess it was in between, but I did meet the afternoon jock.
Ron Riley.
I don't remember.
Pray for us.
But anyways, the afternoon jock was a jerk. But anyways, he was on radio and off radio, both. But anyways,
met his mother. His mother worked at a retirement home or senior citizens home, I guess the way to put it. And my wife worked there. She said, "Oh, you got to introduce you."
I got yeah. That's how it began, huh?
Basically, how it started, yeah.
Yeah.
And we were riding the lady for many years, and then all of a sudden she moved. She moved to the son died. The one I was hanging around with, he's buried over at Rosemont Cemetery.
Oh yeah, over on
Addison
and Oak Park or whatever. Yeah.
And she moved to Florida with her husband. And her other son was sort of funny. He was a born-again Christian.
Oh.
And his mother was not happy,
no.
Being Jewish. But and they moved to Florida, and then we wrote them for many years in Florida. They moved to Arizona. We lost contact, and I do know the husband died. He was a school teacher at Montefiore.
Oh yeah,
remember that old school? You remember that, don't you?
We had two guys in Wood Watch who went there, Lieutenant Medea and Tom Tinsman. Were both graduates of Montefiore.
Yeah. Were they both like when the school was at 13th and
still
Ashland?
There?
Yeah. So. Well, it was in a previous location. Yeah.
He said I was a problem child.
Yeah.
You can't imagine that. Can you tell?
A lot of people don't remember is Chicago Parental.
Yeah, no, but
was that in your neighborhood?
That was over on where Northeastern University is now.
Foster
St. Louis
Central
and
Park.
Bryn Mawr.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Montefiore was when I was a kid was a bad word, and it was like
that's where your father was going to send you.
Yeah. If you misbehave, you're going to Montefiore, and it just sounded bad.
Well, most of the kids were delinquents in the place, and the funny story was one of the guys I knew was sent to Chicago Parental, and some of the kids I knew broke into the place to visit him.
Oh. Yeah, I never got involved.
Remember, there's no such thing as a bad boy.
Yeah, right.
There's a lot of mean little, you-know-whats.
That's probably true, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, he's done.
You done?
What else is there to talk about?
Yeah.
Mr. Kugelman?
What? Oh,
you.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. I grew up, born and raised at 5949 North Lakewood between Elmdale and Thorndale. And, of course, that was, really no name to it. They used to call it West Rogers Park. But we just called it St. Gertrude's. I mean, anybody that grew up in Chicago, you grew up in a parish, whatever parish you were in. And it was a 3-flat, all frame, and firemen on Squad 4, old Squad 4, lived on the first floor. We lived on the second floor, fireman's family. And on the third floor, fireman's family, Ted Waller. 3 of us. And, of course, we went to St. Gertrude's. I graduated from St. Gertrude's and went to St. George High School, which is not anymore. And
Evanston?
In Evanston, right?
Yeah.
Right. And we just had our banquet. We always have it the first Monday of May. But I guess we're all telling here the funny things that happen. We're coming out of church one day, St. Gertrude's, and down the street comes the buggy and the 70, and they're all coming down, and they see my dad coming out of church and holler to him, "Hey, Ollie, it's your house." And so he jumps on the rig, and they take him there. And my mother, is a basket case, but we ran all the way home. And
was your house
quite a way?
Oh, your father was Ollie?
Yes, it was.
Oliver? Okay.
And it was on the 3rd floor. I don't remember what started it, but there were those. They call them the Tree of Life or some damn thing. out in the backyard, and you know, it was that thing where you rip off the
Tree of heaven.
And tree of heaven.
It's a weed, actually, is what it is.
Yeah. And my mother had just had all of her drapes and linens and that done, and you know, they used to put them on the it was like a big frame.
Oh yes, like stretchers.
Stretcher, and they'd be.
Otherwise, they would roll up.
And she had just had all of that done. I know, because she was a bear while she was doing it, and she's up there on the second floor. The third floor is on fire. Yeah. All the water's coming down on our place, and she's up there hollering at all these firemen. Yeah. Don't you do that? Don't you take? She sounded like a division marshal up there. And on the third floor, they were tossing the stuff out, and some of the stuff was my Aunt Dorothy. I call her my Aunt Dorothy. Her nylons and her, you know, her unmentionables, and they ended up in that tree. And I can remember when we moved out of there in '47, they were still there in that tree. And sure enough, the guys did what she told them. Yeah. I don't know who the chief was, but those guys did what my mother told them to do. And she grew up in a bunch of fire family. And
was your mother from a fire family too, or
her brother-in-law was a fireman in West Dallas, Wisconsin, and her other brother-in-law was a fireman in Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin.
Oh boy!
And as was my dad before he went on the job. And of course we got 4 generations of us.
Yeah.
And but we grew up there, and like you say, our playground was in the alley.
Yeah.
Right, the front of our house faced the alley, and that's where we played, or in the back. And in fact, one of our people that was here at one of our sessions, historic sessions, George Lane, Father George Lane, grew up there too. And I met him yesterday at Mass, in fact, and we had a little bit of a talk, and naturally it's about the old neighborhood.
It's about the old neighborhood.
Sure.
Never goes away. It's like
he went took the dark side, and he became a Jesuit. And he's still around. He's the guy that saved Holy Family Church.
We had him here as a guest.
Yeah, we had him as a guest.
He was the first guest in my era, and I remember him before.
Yeah.
George's a good guy.
Yeah,
let's have him back.
And that's about it. We had Winsberg's department store.
Yeah,
on Clark Street. We had our little candy shop. Just before that, you'd hit that first before you'd go up to Clark Street at Winsberg's. But that's where we bought all our clothes, Winsberg's. I don't know if they're still there. I
don't think so.
I think they're out of there now.
Yeah, but
by now,
when my, we had all our kids went to St. Bartholomew. They used to go to Winsberg's, which is at Clark and Granville. So I mean, it's not around the corner,
right?
To buy their uniforms.
And on the south side was Morris B. Sachs.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
This was all a uniform place,
Yeah, it was all
But we had it. We didn't have a car, and then my folks broke up, and my mother and I moved out, and my grandmother moved out to Des Plaines. And that was quite a move out there where there was nothing. Toohey and Wolf was all prairie, all farmland. Oh no, it isn't. Oh no, it isn't. We went out there, and I had to hitch back in to town. And in fact, before I actually moved out there, I stayed in the city, and I lived in a trailer behind Engine 102's house. That's where my dad was stationed.
Yeah.
And I lived there.
Which was where,
And we
Bill?
lived there. 1723 West Greenleaf.
Greenleaf and Clark. Yeah.
And that's been closed up now, that house anyway.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of good times there. And then I went to St. George and lived out in Des Plaines, had a hitchhike in from Toohey and Wolf all
That's
the
a
way
pretty good
into there.
haul, wasn't it?
It was a haul, believe me. If I had to do it now, I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't, yeah.
But it was a good. We had a good parish there. We had Monsignor Healy at St. Gertrude's, and that whole parish or that whole neighborhood was mostly Irish.
Oh.
And we didn't know a lot of the people around. We knew the people right next door to us pretty good, pretty well, but we just didn't know the rest of the people because my dad is working, my mother's working, all these people are working.
Yeah.
And they were all older. There weren't that many kids our age except George and the guys that we grew up with. But it was a good neighborhood, and I go back there every so often for one reason or another.
Yeah.
And I talk to these people every so often. The girls, of course, put it together. We have a reunion, and it's surprising to see the ones that still live in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
They're still there. It's really been
I don't know if
been
it's
tightened up.
if it's gentrified or not, but it's really called Edgewater,
Yes,
south of Devon, and
but we go to the lake to swim.
yeah.
I can't think of the name of that hotel there, just east of St. Gertrude's, the Sovereign Hotel.
Oh, Sovereign.
Sovereign
yeah.
Hotel
On
that had a
Granville.
swimming pool.
Yeah.
And my mother taught swimming there, and
Yeah.
she taught me to swim there.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
was.
I think it's still
the
going.
Sovereign isn't there, is it?
The building is still there.
Oh.
I don't know if it's a hotel or if it's a.
But that's really what it was,
Yeah.
I left there, and of course we moved to Des Plaines, and it was, it was like a different world.
Oh,
Coming from the middle of the city to go
sure.
out there where there was
Yeah.
absolutely nothing,
No.
and that was one of the things that when I got into high school, St. George, there were very few sports that I could get into because I knew I had to hitch my way back home.
Yeah.
There was
You-
nothing else.
Travel time.
Yeah.
Your mother
Yeah.
must have had a car then, huh?
Oh yeah, she had a
Yeah,
car then.
'cause
She worked for
otherwise-
Stuart Warner's for, I think, like 30 years.
Wow.
On Diversey.
On Diversey and
Yeah.
wow.
And
Yeah.
and retired from there, and her pension check was a whopping $110 a
A
month.
month. Wow.
Yeah, that was.
It was probably pretty good though.
at that time,
yeah.
yeah.
Your dollar's worth nothing now, so.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to ask you to just when Bill comes on the fire department, they sent him to Squad 11, which was the
Knox and
north side.
Sunnyside.
Yeah, fire and rescue, and his mother drives him to the firehouse the first day, and what does she say? What did she say to the captain?
Well,
Yes.
the captain was of Squad 11 was actually my dad's stepbrother, so she knew Otto Fent.
Otto Fent.
She knew Otto, and she had to bring all of my fire clothes to the fire because I was working that day.
Yeah.
So she gets there, and of course her and Otto are talking and having coffee, and the rest of the guys on my crew were all heavy hitters. and big guys. It was the tavern after the firehouse, and all big guys. Here I was a candy arse kid,
Yeah.
and my mother knew exactly what she was doing. And as she's leaving, she says
Listen
real
to
loud,
this.
she says, "Now Otto, you take care of my little boy and don't get him hurt.
Yeah.
Well, I lived
care
that
of
down.
Billy.
It
Yeah,
took me
that was good.
about 2 months to live
They
that
beat the
down
crap out
with
of
the
him.
rest of the guys.
Italian 22 to Maine.
Yeah.
Give me a box.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jack.
I tell you what, we had a hell of a time there. It was
Otto Fent,
good
what
fun.
a name of the past.
Oh, the squad we were all alone in that building, and
Yeah.
what a good
Which
time.
was a
But
unique
That was
thing.
mine. I can go on and on and on,
Sure.
but
Cool,
I
we all
can't
could.
because Jack keeps
Oh, I
poking me
just-
in the ribs there.
Yeah, I'll be just building on what Tom said because we're from the same neighborhood as he said before. St. Theodore Parish, which was a habit that we used to have around, even the Protestants would say, I'm live around St. Theodore,
Oh.
St. Rita, St. wherever it was.
Is that still an active parish? Or
No, it's gone. It's a hole in the ground now. Literally, they tore it all down.
literally, yeah.
And anyway, in our little community, which you described before, we had 3 different Catholic churches. We had the Archdiocesan Church, was St. Theodore. Then we had the Croatian Church, Assumption was like 2 blocks away at 60th and Marshfield. And on the boulevard, you had St. Mary Mount Carmel, big Italian church. These were all like national parishes.
Yeah.
You had at least 3 Lutheran churches within that little area. You had Dobrin Methodist Church at like 6350 South Paulina. Half a block east was Drexel Park Presbyterian. You had we had a Christian Science Church. Had a Pentecostal. Am I missing anybody here? I can remember.
Where the
We're missing a little. Be quiet over there, will you, Kate?
Where did the name Drexel Park?
I don't know. I think they
from?
moved originally from
Oh,
Eastmore,
from
Drexel.
east,
Yeah,
from
they
Drexel
moved again
Boulevard,
out
maybe.
to. I think it's Orland Park. The church is
Oh.
there anyway. But it was we were a working man's parish, and it was solid, and we were taught your word is your bond. You're supposed to live up to what you say between
Yeah.
between the church and school and your own folks, and well, as I said, we had scouts, and Tom and I think we could mention a man who was a mentor to all of us. We knew him for like 4 years. His name was Bill Boyd, and he was our Explorer advisor. The Explorers are the scouts when you're 14 and up, and Bill was an outstanding person, and we haven't seen him, I guess, since 1964.
Did he
still living.
become a cowboy actor?
No, that's not him. That's the same
William
guy.
Boyd?
That's
Yeah,
Hopalong
William
Cassidy
Boyd,
for you
yeah,
folks.
Hopalong Cassidy.
William Boyd.
Listen, I got a little announcement here when you get done.
Okay, let me finish.
Yeah.
Hurry up.
Finish. But anyway, and where I lived, and I said it was western. It was like the western portion of the parish, over on Damon Avenue. So
Oh,
I was
boy.
in the
You were
the
rich.
suburban area. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
further away from Ashland. We went to St. Rita, which was at 63rd and right around Claremont, right around Western.
Yeah.
So I could fall out of bed in the morning and be in school, no problem. And never once was I late for school in all 4 years.
Yeah.
Because if I was going to be late, I'd come back, have my mother call me in sick. That's how.
Yeah.
That's how I did it. I can still forge my dad's name on a report card.
Oh,
You know what?
you did learn quite a bit
Yeah.
then while you were there.
I lived
enough.
outside of the city when I was on the fire department in Rolling Meadows in Arlington, and I was never late for work either.
You better not be, right?
That's right.
Anyway, those were the years. We learned quite a bit about quite a few things. I know that Tom and I used to coach the grade school sports at one time. And I don't think you were there. We were working with kids with baseball. Might have been before you came on board, year before or something. But I was hitting fly balls, fungos for you folks. That's a fly ball practice.
Yeah.
And I was hitting them to the left down at Lindblom Park and doing a pretty good job. So the kids out and right, I better turn this way. Boom! And this, I don't know how I caught this. This bounced on Damon Avenue and shattered a guy's window. Not a big plate glass window, but the side one like you would have at the entrance. So the first inclination is about 19 is to run. But then,
Right.
wait a minute, kids, whoa.
Wait.
I walked back there and I identified myself. And
And then you
I
pointed
paid.
out the kid who did
no,
it.
no,
Yeah,
no,
that
no,
little.
no. I was pretty proud of the belt, though, too. Don't forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, opposite field, the man came on and said, well, I'm sure glad you, I didn't have a driver's license, I had a permit.
Yeah.
I showed him that, and he copied the information down. And
Yeah.
I was working part-time at Central Steel then, when I was going to school, so I paid him, and a couple of weeks later, police sergeant got out of his car and came over and he says, yeah, they installed it for, here he was, his daughter went to St. Theodore grade school, and he was so happy that, and I,
You done?
the only reason I'm getting choked up. The only reason I mention this is I didn't know until years later that my folks were so proud of me, and I thought, what's to be proud of? You're
Oh,
supposed
yeah.
to.
Oh, sure.
They
You
were.
owned up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And I also had it was kind of like an example for the kids. But anyway, we were taught that our word should be our bond, and right is right, and fair is fair.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That in Chicago.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
all that in Chicago.
And everything was
Yeah.
on the up and up
Now-
too
yeah.
in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
I have
Oh.
an announcement to make that this Saturday, the 24th of May, from 10 until 2 o'clock, we have an open house at the Chicago Fire Museum of Greater Chicago at 5218 Southwestern. That's 5218 Southwestern. That's the 24th of May, the fourth Saturday of the month from 10 to 2. And I please come see us. I extend that invitation to everyone.
What's the
When
admission?
you come, no admission.
No admission.
No admission.
I collect the admission.
Bring a camera and your kids. Take a picture with the kids with some of the antique apparatus.
I drove by there the
and
other
so
day.
forth.
I was riding by there. I didn't drive, but
Yeah, so I extend that to everybody. I've got a John. We got time?
You got 2 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, 2 minutes.
I got this, and it'll be on display at the museum. It is the death certificate, physician's certificate of death of Catherine O'Leary. If anybody knows who Mrs. O'Leary was, and her cows, right by the fire academy, she used to live, and burned down the town. This is her death certificate. She died of acute pneumonia and is buried in Mount Olivet. So we will have this on display at that time. When she died, she was a widow, 68 years old. We have a lot of things on display at the Fire Museum that would be interesting to a lot of people.
well, we've seen it. We did a show from there, and believe me,
Exactly.
he's not
Yeah.
pulling your leg there for sure.
No.
Yeah, I said bring a camera.
Bring a
Do
camera.
the guys dress up in old uniforms or anything like that? Or?
No, not yet. Not
No.
yet.
Try that?
No, we have some women's apparel. One of these days, we can get Ken to, put that on.
Thanks very much.
We ready to go? One moment. Just one moment. One more thing. Remember, folks, history is much more than a book you keep on the shelf.
You gotta learn how to read.
Yeah.
Once again, you've been listening to our monthly program, Meet the Chicago Historians, which was pre-recorded on May 19th, 2014. Our historian show is broadcast over WRHS, Jack FM 89.7 Norwich. You can also access our show, both today's as well as back library of older broadcasts on the internet by going to windycityhometown.com. Goodbye, and once again, thanks for listening.
You have been listening to Meet the Chicago Historians from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Monday, May the 19th, the year 2014. This broadcast was produced by Jack Ryan, directed by John DeVita, edited by Stephen Lehman, and our audio engineer is James Rhodey, and the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network is Mr. John Shikanda. This program was pre-recorded on Monday, May the 19th, the year 2014. Please be safe, and thanks for listening.